The story begins with a bum named Naofumi Iwatani experiencing a strange and unsettling dream. When he wakes up, he finds himself staring blankly, clearly disturbed by what he has seen. Naofumi is a second-year college student who lives a quiet and boring life. He is somewhat of an otaku, preferring books, games, and anime to social interactions. As morning sunlight fills his room, he reflects on his daily routine and his relationship with his family, especially his brother. Naofumi explains that he once helped his brother get his life back on track, and because of this, he now enjoys staying at home with a steady allowance. This allows him to basically be a couch potato and live a peaceful otaku lifestyle, proving to himself that he is not truly one of the so-called shut-ins that society looks down upon. Whenever he feels like going out, his favorite destination is the library, where he spends time reading light novels. On this particular day, Naofumi visits the library as usual. While browsing through the shelves, one book immediately draws his attention. The cover looks unusual, and the title reads, "Waves of Apocalyptic Catastrophe." Curious, he opens the book and begins reading. The story describes a world threatened by repeated disasters known as waves and explains how 4 heroes are summoned from another world to save it. Each hero wields a unique legendary weapon: the sword, the spear, the bow, and the shield. As Naofumi reads further, he realizes that these 4 heroes are the main protagonists of the story. Suddenly, as he turns another page, his vision begins to blur, his eyes change color, strange symbols appear, and before he can react, magic activates around him. The surroundings distort, and Naofumi feels himself being pulled away, falling into what seems like a magical trap. When Naofumi regains awareness, he finds himself surrounded by unfamiliar people wearing strange clothing. They appear excited and relieved, declaring that their plan has finally succeeded. Confused and frightened, Naofumi struggles to understand what is happening. The people kneel before him and beg him to save their world from destruction. As he looks down at his body, he notices something shocking, which is a shield firmly attached to his arm. No matter how much he tries, he cannot remove it. Naofumi soon learns that he has been transported to a different world, where 4 heroes exist simultaneously. Alongside him are 3 other individuals, each wielding one of the remaining legendary weapons. The people of this world explain that an ancient ritual was used to summon the 4 heroes from another realm so they could become the legendary saviors. They plead desperately, explaining that their world is on the verge of collapse due to the waves of ruin. Despite their pleas, the heroes are troubled by the fact that they were summoned without consent. They argue that forcing them into this world is unjust, and even if they help, resentment may still arise. As the 4 heroes walk through the kingdom, they feel the warmth and atmosphere of this new world. However, Naofumi appears less confident and less knowledgeable than the others, who speak with familiarity as though they recognize this world from a game. On their way to meet the king, a mysterious lady observes them quietly from a castle window, her expression unreadable. At the royal palace, the king introduces himself as the ruler of Mel Romark. One by one, the heroes introduce themselves: Ranamaki, Motoyasu Kitamura, Itsuki Kawasumi, and finally, Naofumi Iwatani. When Naofumi speaks, the king clearly shows that he doesn't give a rat's arse about him and barely acknowledges him. The king then explains the prophecy of the waves of ruin, describing how the kingdom underestimated the danger and suffered greatly during the first wave. He declares that only the 4 cardinal heroes can protect the world. The heroes question whether they will be properly rewarded, pointing out that the kingdom seems unprepared. In response, the king instructs them to strengthen their legendary weapons. Naofumi senses that his power does not come from offense, but from defense. Although the heroes suggest forming one party, the king refuses, explaining that the legendary weapons repel each other and that they must travel separately. The heroes are dismissed to rest, and a female attendant escorts them to their rooms. Inside their shared room, the heroes talk casually, discussing how strange the food tastes and comparing their situation to a familiar online game called Emerald Online. They test each other with trivia questions, revealing that Naofumi lacks the same level of gaming knowledge as the others. The 3 heroes openly dismiss the shield as a useless weapon, but Naofumi silently resolves to do his best. Leaving the room, he reflects on his role as the shield hero, reminding himself that defense is essential. He also secretly hopes that this new world might offer romance, since he was unable to lose his V-card in his previous world. Determined, he vows to master his shield no matter how weak it seems. The next day, warriors gather at the palace to form parties with the heroes. Each warrior eagerly chooses a hero, but none approach Naofumi. The king explains that rumors claim the shield hero is ignorant and unworthy. Motoyasu suggests that people may have overheard earlier conversations. Naofumi refuses to journey alone and pleads for assistance, but the others refuse. Eventually, a young noblewoman named Mine volunteers to join him. Despite the king asking again, no one else steps forward. The king assigns each hero a monthly allowance, giving Naofumi a higher amount, and sends them off. The other heroes bid Naofumi farewell, unable to help further. Naofumi and Mine introduce themselves properly and begin their journey. Mine explains the geography of the kingdom while guiding him through town. Naofumi realizes he needs proper equipment, and Mine takes him to an equipment shop. The shop owner recognizes Mine, but finds Naofumi strange. Upon noticing the shield mark, he realizes Naofumi is one of the heroes. Despite hearing rumors, Naofumi introduces himself respectfully. respectfully. When Naofumi attempts to wield a sword, it violently rejects him. The shop owner examines the shield with a magical mirror and discovers its immense internal power. Unable to remove it, Naofumi purchases armor after Mind negotiates the price. During their first adventure, Naofumi battles an orange balloon monster. Unable to attack, he relies solely on defense. He explains to Mind that he does not feel pain and must absorb materials to upgrade his shield. He suggests selling monster drops. Realizing the monsters are weak, they decide to continue another day. The next day, they argue with the shop owner over prices but eventually agree. Naofumi learns that monster materials can only be sold to specialized merchants. Later, they eat together at the castle and plan a trip to Loot Village. Mine offers him wine, which he declines. He thanks her for standing by him and later thinks about the fact that he's running low on cash before falling asleep. The following morning, Naofumi discovers that all his money, armor, and belongings are gone. Guards escort him to the palace where Mine falsely accuses him of forcefully trying to get a taste of her cookie. Despite his protests, false evidence is presented, and the king believes her. Naofumi realizes he has been betrayed and begs to return home, but the king refuses, stating that the waves must be defeated first. Abandoned and disgraced, Naofumi receives cheap armor from the shop owner and vows to repay him. Training alone, he levels up and upgrades his shield using plants and monster materials. At the palace, he is treated coldly. Warriors attempt to exploit him, but he refuses. Eventually, a mysterious man introduces him to the concept of demi-human slaves. Inside the slave trader shop, Naofumi hears a frightened girl crying and finds her chained and helpless. At the place where the man deals in demi-humans, Naofumi carefully examines the different slaves on display. He studies them closely, trying to determine which one would be affordable, obedient, and useful for survival and combat. Because he has very limited money, Naofumi is forced to consider only the cheapest options. The slave trader notices Naofumi's hesitation and decides to recommend a particular demi-human girl. He explains that she is inexpensive because she is extremely stubborn and difficult to control. According to the trader, she often refuses to obey orders and must be disciplined harshly to be kept in line. The trader then demonstrates how obedience is enforced. He places a magical slave crest on the girl's body, explaining that the mark will inflict pain on her whenever she disobeys her master. This ensures complete control over her actions. Although Naofumi feels uncomfortable witnessing this, he understands that he cannot survive alone in this world. After some hesitation, he agrees to the purchase and pays for the slave, whose name is Raftalia. Afterward, Naofumi takes Raftalia to the equipment shop and asks the shop owner to provide her with basic gear suitable for combat. The owner equips her with simple but functional equipment. Once they leave the shop, Naofumi immediately begins training her by hunting orange balloon monsters. At first, Raftalia hesitates, overwhelmed by fear and confusion. She even attempts to disobey Naofumi by harming herself rather than attacking the monster, triggering the pain caused by the slave crest. However, driven by desperation and survival instinct, she eventually attacks the orange balloon monster with all her strength and successfully defeats it. As the monster bursts, Raftalia's level increases, and Naofumi's level also rises as a result. Naofumi explains to her that working hard and becoming stronger is necessary, not only for survival but also so he can recover the money he spent to buy her. Although his words sound cold, his actions suggest that he wants her to grow and endure in this harsh world. After training, Naofumi and Raftalia leave the equipment shop area and head toward the castle to get food. At the entrance, Raftalia pauses after reading a sign that clearly states demi-humans are not allowed to eat there. Naofumi does not immediately understand why she hesitates and urges her forward. When they enter the dining area, the people inside stare in shock and disbelief upon seeing the shield hero, accompanied by a demi-human slave. Despite the tension, Raftalia is eventually served the food she desires. She eats hungrily, as if she has not seen food in eons. Watching her eat reminds Naofumi of how harsh her life must have been before they met. After finishing their meal, the two return to adventuring. Naofumi continues training Raftalia by fighting more orange balloon monsters. With each battle, both of them gain experience, unlock new skills, and grow stronger together. During one of their breaks, Raftalia curiously asks Naofumi for his name. Naofumi formally introduces himself as Naofumi Iwatani, one of the 4 cardinal heroes. Hearing this shocks Raftalia deeply. She recalls memories of her parents, who once told her stories about the shield hero being a kind protector of demi-humans. Those stories gave her hope during her childhood, and she secretly wished to meet the shield hero someday. Realizing that the man she now serves is the very hero her parents admired overwhelms her with emotion. Naofumi gives Raftalia a bitter medicinal drink. Shortly after consuming it, she falls into a dream where she sees her parents again. When she wakes up, tears stream down her face as the painful memories resurface. Naofumi gently comforts her by patting her head, offering silent reassurance instead of words. Later, Naofumi visits a medicine shop and explains to the owner how he created his first medicine. The shop owner informs him that selling medicine is far more profitable than selling raw herbs, especially because the ongoing waves have increased demand for healing supplies. Outside the shop, Naofumi notices Raftalia quietly watching 2 children playing with a ball. When he asks if she wants to play, she denies it, trying to hide her her feelings. However, Naofumi sees through her act and buys a ball for her anyway. Raphtalia accepts it gratefully, touched by his kindness. As night approaches, Naofumi and Raphtalia seek lodging at an inn. Naofumi warns the innkeeper that Raphtalia sometimes cries at night. Hearing this, the innkeeper immediately refuses them. Naofumi threatens him by mentioning dangerous monsters like orange balloons, and the innkeeper reluctantly allows them to stay, hoping to survive the next wave. During their stay, Naofumi takes care of Raphtalia by grooming her hair, sharing meals with her, and ensuring she feels safe. That night, they sleep in the same room, slowly building trust. The next morning, they wake up and prepare for another day of adventure. Raphtalia trains harder than before, determined to improve. On their way to the forest, a rabbit monster suddenly attacks and bites Naofumi. Naofumi orders Raphtalia to strike it down, but she freezes, unable to act. The slave crest activates, causing her intense pain as punishment for disobedience. She tearfully explains that she hates the sight of blood, which prevents her from attacking. Naofumi calmly explains that another catastrophic wave is approaching and that he must grow stronger to protect the world. He tells her that he needs a partner who can fight beside him. Inspired by his resolve, Raphtalia overcomes her fear and kills the rabbit monster. She firmly declares that she will fight alongside him and never abandon him. Afterward, Naofumi buys Raphtalia a sword from the equipment shop. He asks the shop owner about traveling with equipment, but the man explains that all gear must remain stored at the shop. After checking a map, the owner suggests a nearby town where they might earn money. In the new town, Naofumi asks a shopkeeper about quick ways to earn income. The man mentions a coal pit that has become infested with monsters since the first wave, making it extremely dangerous. Naofumi and Raphtalia decide to investigate. As they venture deeper into the pit, Raphtalia becomes frightened when a large dog monster appears. Naofumi grabs her and jumps into the water to escape. Afterward, Raphtalia explains that dog monsters killed her parents and destroyed her village during the first wave. Naofumi finally understands why she cries at night. He encourages her to face her fear so the same tragedy does not repeat. When the dog monster attacks again, Naofumi allows it to bite him and urges Raphtalia to fight. Despite her trauma, she overcomes her fear and defeats the monster. After the battle, Raphtalia rushes to Naofumi and hugs him tightly, crying and begging him not to die. Although he feels pain from the wound, Naofumi praises her bravery. He admits that while he can only defend, he needs someone who can attack, and Raphtalia has proven herself. Together, they realize that by trusting one another, they can survive this cruel world. Naofumi and Raphtalia remain in the coal mining town for several days after their arrival. During this period, they continue working inside the coal pit, fighting monsters that have overrun the area since the previous wave. Each day is filled with constant danger and relentless battles. As they explore deeper into the mines and surrounding areas, Naofumi notices that his skills are improving rapidly. His defensive abilities grow stronger with every fight, to the point that he can no longer keep track of how many skills he has unlocked. Monsters attack them repeatedly from different directions, but Naofumi stands firm and defends against every assault without hesitation. After spending many days adventuring and gaining experience in the coal town, Naofumi and Raphtalia finally decide to return to the equipment merchant who has been supplying them earlier. When they arrive, the merchant is shocked and struggles to recognize Raphtalia at first. She has changed dramatically since their last visit. No longer the small, weak, and frightened child she once was, Raphtalia has grown into a mature and confident young girl. Her posture, expression, and strength clearly show the results of her hard training and battles. The merchant can hardly believe that this is the same girl he has seen before. After leaving the shop, Naofumi and Raphtalia walk around the town together. As they pass through the market, several vendors notice Raphtalia and comment on how cute and charming she looks. Their reactions surprise her, as she is not used to receiving such attention. Later, the two of them return to the equipment shop with a new purpose. Naofumi wants to buy proper armor for Raphtalia, and Raphtalia, in turn, plans to get armor for Naofumi as well. She chooses a magical sword for herself, which makes Naofumi realize how much she has changed. She is now confident enough to make decisions for herself and no longer relies entirely on him. However, when they ask for armor, the merchant explains that he does not have the specific items they want at the moment. He asks them to return the next day, promising that the armor will be prepared by then. Sometime later, Naofumi and Raphtalia go to the castle to eat. During their meal, Raphtalia speaks cheerfully about how kind and helpful the equipment merchant has been to her. Naofumi, however, does not fully agree with her opinion and remains cautious. When it is time to order food, Naofumi asks the server to bring a children's meal for Raphtalia, assuming it will suit her. Raphtalia immediately disagrees and insists that she wants to eat the same meal as him, showing once again that she no longer sees herself as a child. The next day, Naofumi and Raphtalia return to the equipment shop as promised. The merchant hands Naofumi the armor he has requested. Naofumi hesitates to accept it at first, feeling uncomfortable because the merchant has gone out of his way to prepare it specially for him. However, he eventually accepts accepts it, knowing that he needs better equipment for the battles ahead. While they are talking, they notice a large group of villagers gathering nearby. Curious, Naofumi learns that the people have assembled because the next wave is approaching soon. He thinks to himself that if he knows the exact time the wave will begin, he can prepare more effectively. The merchant then explains that there is a church in the town square containing a large magical hourglass. When the final grain of sand falls, all the heroes and their parties will be transported directly to the location where the wave will begin. After hearing this explanation, Naofumi and Raphtalia go to the church to see the hourglass for themselves. Inside, Naofumi recognizes it as the same dragon hourglass the king has mentioned before. By observing it closely, he realizes that the wave is already very near. As he turns around, he suddenly hears the voice of Motoyasu and the other heroes mocking him. They laugh at his equipment and criticize him for traveling with what they consider flimsy gear. Raphtalia, confused by their behavior, asks Naofumi what they are talking about, but he chooses not to answer. Instead, he tries to avoid them and move away. However, Motoyasu approaches Raphtalia directly and introduces himself as the spear hero. He tells her that someone as cute as her does not need to wield a sword and promises to protect her instead. Raphtalia immediately rejects his offer, making it clear that she trusts Naofumi. Naofumi quickly pulls her away, trying to stop her from hearing the rumors Motoyasu has to say about him. After leaving the church, they go to a quiet place. Raphtalia asks Naofumi what went wrong between him and the other heroes. He remains silent, unable or unwilling to explain. She notices his mood and softly wishes him good night before leaving him alone. Deep inside, Naofumi knows it is not that he cannot explain the situation, but he believes that even if he does, no one will believe him. Later that night, Raphtalia returns and speaks sincerely to Naofumi. She thanks him for everything he has done for her. She tells him that through his kindness he has cured her illness, given her warm meals, taught her how to survive, and shown her a reason to fight. With strong determination, she declares that she is his sword and that wherever he goes, she will always follow him. Soon, the countdown to the wave reaches its end. The world suddenly changes as a powerful and catastrophic force sweeps across the land. Monsters appear everywhere and begin attacking the villagers. Raphtalia charges forward bravely, slashing at the monsters with her sword, while the shield hero stands at the front, drawing the monsters toward himself and blocking their attacks. His goal is to protect the villagers and give them enough time to evacuate safely. As chaos spreads, Naofumi thinks carefully about how to minimize damage and casualties. Even though many warriors initially run away to save themselves, they are inspired by the courage of the shield hero and return to fight alongside him. Unfortunately, their strength is not enough to withstand the monsters. Naofumi orders them to retreat and save their lives, choosing to fight alongside Raphtalia instead. Together, they fight with full determination, eliminating the monsters one by one. Despite Naofumi's efforts, some knights and villagers continue to speak badly about him, unaware that he can hear their words. Raphtalia stands up for him and defends him passionately. Even while being insulted, Naofumi continues protecting them without hesitation. He uses all his skills to hold back the monsters. Eventually, the sky changes once again, and the world returns to normal, signaling the end of the wave. After everything settles, the other heroes search for Naofumi but cannot find him. Mind tells Motoyasu not to bother looking for the shield hero. Shortly afterward, the king's knights arrive and announce that the king is calling the heroes to receive their rewards. The injured are treated and tended to. As Naofumi and Raphtalia stand together, she asks him what they should do next since the monsters have been defeated. Before they can leave, several villagers approach Naofumi to thank him sincerely, admitting that they would not have survived without his help. Raphtalia points out that their gratitude is genuine and expresses her own feelings about fighting and defeating the monsters. Together, they stand quietly, realizing that despite everything, their efforts have made a real difference. After the wave successfully vanishes from the world, the king of Melremark celebrates the moment with the legendary heroes by hosting a grand feast. The shield hero stays in a quiet corner witnessing the festivities at the palace, while the other heroes enjoy the event with their respective party members. Where the shield hero stands, Raphtalia is also there, urging him to eat the tasty food provided by the palace. Though he initially refuses to eat, she eventually convinces him to have a taste. While the two of them are talking in their corner, the other heroes appear. Motoyasu begins antagonizing Naofumi, questioning him about the rumors that Raphtalia is his slave. Motoyasu tries to shame Naofumi, claiming that slavery is not legal for heroes in this world. Taking a bold step, Motoyasu challenges Naofumi to a fight, declaring that if he wins, he can take anything he wishes. Naofumi simply turns his back on them and begins to leave Raphtalia behind. On Naofumi's way out, the king's guards block his path. The king appears, claiming he overheard the conversation regarding the demi-human slave. He calls Naofumi rotten to the core and commands him to accept the challenge and fight Motoyasu. Raphtalia tries to tell the king that she wished to be his slave, but before she can finish her statement, the king subjects her to a curse for defending Naofumi. He tells the shield hero that he must fight Motoyasu. If Naofumi wins, the king will release Raphtalia back to him. This manipulation makes Naofumi grow incredibly angry. The duel begins between the spear hero, Motoyasu, and the shield hero, Naofumi, in front of the king of Melremark. As the battle starts, Naofumi uses his shield to defend while the spear hero attacks. To gain the upper hand, Naofumi uses orange balloons to fight and employs various shield skills to pressure his opponent. He eventually uses a chain to hold Motoyasu down and asks the spear hero to admit defeat. However, before he can secure the win, Mine uses her magic secretly to blast Naofumi. The fight becomes a 2-on-1 struggle, and the spear hero eventually defeats the shield hero. The people in the king grant Motoyasu the victory, but Naofumi stands up and announces that Mine used magic to interfere. As he explains this to the king, the people refuse to listen, calling him a scumbag. He realizes there is no way to prove his story because the magic was subtle. The king gives the glory to the spear hero, praising his daughter for choosing such a great hero. Naofumi finally understands that Mine is the king's daughter, realizing why everyone believes her lies so easily. Mine then whispers a false story into Motoyasu's ear, claiming Naofumi forced Raphtalia into slavery, urging him to save her. The villagers and the king blame the shield hero for everything and discuss getting rid of him or executing him. They eventually forcibly remove the slave curse from Raphtalia. Naofumi, filled with rage and despair, tries to throw his shield away, but the legendary mark returns to him instantly. He regrets ever being summoned to suffer alone. Immediately after the curse is removed, Raphtalia marches up to Motoyasu and slaps him across the face for his bad treatment and false accusations against Naofumi. She explains that the curse was not against her will. She needed it because Naofumi is unauthorized to use weapons, meaning someone has to fight for him. She tells everyone that Naofumi has treated her with nothing but kindness, feeding her and providing daily medicine for her illness, and that he has never done anything bad to her. Raphtalia asks Motoyasu if he is capable of doing everything Naofumi has done for her, leaving the spear hero speechless until Mine silences her. As they speak, the remaining heroes observe the scenario and finally understand the truth. They defend the shield hero, asking Mine why she interfered with her magic. Even the king saw the wind power, but he remains silent. By the end, the atmosphere settles as the other two heroes testify that they witnessed mind-blowing wind magic at Naofumi. Raphtalia goes to meet Naofumi in his weakened state. At first, he does not believe her words, thinking she has returned only to laugh at his loss. He assumes she believes the rumors, but she makes him understand that she will always stand by him regardless of the circumstances. He still struggles to believe her, convinced she is just looking at his loser face. Naofumi refuses to face anyone until dawn, blaming the shield weapon for his misery in this world. However, Raphtalia helps him understand that it is because of that shield that she is still alive. When he tries to lie to himself, claiming he is not a nice person and that he only saved himself during the wave, Raphtalia hugs him. She tells him she knows him better than anyone. She declares that even if the world speaks ill of him, she will tell them they are wrong. She credits him with giving her a life, a sword, and a purpose. She declares that she is his sword and will follow him through fire and brimstone. Naofumi becomes overwhelmed with emotion because he has never heard such kind words. He still looks at her as a child, but she tells him she is no longer a kid. He begins to cry, finally letting his emotions out. The king and others watch this drama, while the spear hero finally begins to question his actions, realizing there was no sin in their bond. The next day comes, and Naofumi wakes up with his head in Raphtalia's lap, hardly believing she stayed with him. He notices a dramatic change in Raphtalia as she has matured further, her body conforming to her growth. She explains that people often discriminate against demi-humans as beasts, yet she serves him the leftover meal from the palace feast that caused him so much trouble. Together, they agree to stay by each other's side through both good and bad times. At the palace in another town in the queen's place, one messenger is secretly passing information to her about the shield hero and what the king is up to regarding the summons of the 4 heroes. At the court of the king of Melremark, he calls all the heroes and rewards them because of the work they did during the wave and for fulfilling the request. He gives the spear hero, Motoyasu, 5,000 silvers and gives the 2 other heroes, Ren and Itsuki, 3,800 silvers, more than what he gave Motoyasu in total value, but decides not to give the shield hero anything because of him taking Raphtalia as a slave and because the king has offset the curse away from Raphtalia. Immediately, Ren and Itsuki take Naofumi's side, arguing that if not for the spell Mine cast during the fight between Naofumi and Motoyasu, Naofumi would have won. However, Mine denies the fact that she interfered. Instead, she tells him that Naofumi was the one who started using monsters to fight, and that is the reason why the king decided to act. So, the king decides to give Naofumi half of the share he planned to give him. Afterward, Naofumi and Raphtalia go back to the slave trader, and Raphtalia asks the man to give her the slave curse again so that Naofumi can trust her and know that she cannot leave him. The man advises Naofumi to do something to unlock another level of the shield within him, telling him he will win a monster chick, but not in the baddie kind of way. The man further advises Naofumi that through that they can also win a dragon worth 20 gold pieces, but Naofumi understands that this is a gacha game. The man even advises him to act now, offering him a package deal and a slave crest. With everything the man says to him, he agrees to do it so as not to let Raphtalia continue fighting alone. After a while, Naofumi and Raphtalia go to meet a man, and the man tells him that people from Loot Village have asked him to help Naofumi. He does not recognize the man, but Raphtalia does. The man tells Naofumi that there is a book containing finer medicine and permits him to take the book, but when Naofumi opens the book, he cannot understand the world's language. Eventually, the man tells him that there is an old hag at the magic shop who wants to see him because he helped her grandchild back in Loot Village. Raphtalia and Naofumi eventually go to meet the woman at the magic shop, and the woman tells him that he has a strong affinity for healing and supporting magic. She continues by saying the young lady, Raphtalia, has a light and dark magic affinity because she is a half raccoon, and the woman recommends Raphtalia learn illusion magic. The woman hands them a book, but Naofumi tells the woman that they do not have the money to buy the magic grimoire book for now. However, the woman decides to give it to the two of them for her grandchild's sake. She tells him that the magic grimoire is a bit complex, but there are many spells to learn from it as long as he keeps it and does his best. He really appreciates the woman and leaves the shop with Raphtalia. Raphtalia and Naofumi are left alone, and he tells her that he wishes there was a skill that could translate books for him. Raphtalia tells him that both of them can study together, learning both the language and the magic since the next wave is coming up 1 month from that moment. Thereafter, Naofumi tells Raphtalia to go to Loot Village to spend the night, and the next day they will go to grind some levels after breakfast. At Loot Village, at night, Raphtalia and Naofumi are together. Soon after, he wakes her up from her sleep while holding on to the basket he bought from the trade master, and all of a sudden the egg hatches. A small bird called Philo comes out from the egg and imprints on him. Raphtalia decides to give it a name because of the bird's cuteness. As they go from one place to another, the bird follows them, and gradually the bird starts carrying Naofumi and grows large. Within 2 days, the bird, Philo, grows so much that Naofumi knows his growth booster will make her grow well too. Raphtalia and Naofumi cage Philo in a place, and both of them hear the sound of people saying the king's knights are around. Mine announces to the people that due to the last wave, the king has appointed the spear hero, Motoyasu, as the ruling lord of the region where Raphtalia and Naofumi are staying. They decide to enforce a levy toll on the people in that region, demanding 50 silvers to enter the village and 50 to exit. People in the village find it absurd, especially since the villagers don't know what they will eat the next day. But Naofumi raises his voice to ask a question, but Maine does not allow him, saying he has no rights and that it is Motoyasu who is the master of the region, so they must follow orders. Mine even tells Naofumi to leave the village if it is not going to work for him, and he tells Mine that before he leaves, he must say the illegal order they are placing on them is not right, especially since sleeping at an inn is very cheap. The villagers agree with what Naofumi said, noting that it was the shield hero who supported them during the wave. So, Mine immediately draws her sword to scare the villagers, but 3 people appear out of nowhere, shocking Mine. The 3 people wearing black hand a letter to Mine, and that letter scares her. The villagers tell Naofumi to fight Mine if he wants to save the villagers of that region. When Naofumi declines, the villagers beg him to fight for them and take part in the dragon race. While he is still talking with the villagers, he notices that the letter Mine received was one she did not like, and that she is setting it up for him to fight. Meanwhile, Philo already faces the dragon, and Raphtalia understands the fact that Philo and dragons do not get along. So, the villagers beg Naofumi to fight for them, promising a reward after the fight, and he tells them that whatever happens if he loses isn't his responsibility. When Naofumi agrees to do it because of the villagers, Motoyasu is seen running his mouth, saying he thought Philo was a dragon but saw she was just an ordinary bird. Philo kicks him out and he falls dramatically. Mine looks back and sees her mighty Motoyasu fall to the ground while Naofumi and Philo start mocking them. As they are about to start, the head of the villagers tells them the condition. Whoever reaches the gate first will be declared the winner between the dragon and Philo. So, they start the race between the dragon and Philo, with Motoyasu riding the dragon and Naofumi on Philo. When Philo almost reaches the gate, a man uses magic and suddenly creates a hole for Philo and Naofumi to fall into, and both of them eventually fall down. However, Philo and Naofumi resume their race, even though Mine uses many magic casters to distract them. They don't give up, and eventually, they win. The villagers appreciate Naofumi, and before they know it, Philo transforms into a baby. This makes Mine announce to them that it was Naofumi who cheated, whereas they were the ones who cheated by creating a magic hole in the ground. Mine asks Naofumi for proof of the hole, but the 3 black-clad people defend Naofumi, stating that what he said is true and that they also perceived a magic hole throughout the race. So, Motoyasu shamelessly leaves the village and promises Naofumi that he will come again. Later on, the villagers show their gratitude, but Naofumi tells them he does not want money for gratitude. Philo suggests they should give them a carriage. So, Naofumi and his 2 companions travel with the carriage, but on their way, Raphtalia gets motion sickness and Naofumi takes care of her. At night, Naofumi lays Raphtalia in a warm place and thinks about what the man did for him by giving him a pass to be a traveling trader. He uses that as an opportunity to do business while still fighting monsters and leveling up. The next morning, Raphtalia wakes Naofumi from his sleep because she noticed Philo sleeping naked. Philo has turned into a human because her feathers were stuffing Naofumi the previous night, but seeing her human transformation scares both of them. In the afternoon, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and his other slave, Philo, who has transformed transformed into a small girl, head out to meet a man selling equipment. The man teases Naofumi, saying he always seems to show up whenever he has acquired a new slave. Philo sees some goods on the man's table and tells Naofumi that she wishes to take a bite. The man gives it to her, and she suddenly changes back into her bird form of a massive height, making the merchant very curious. Curiously, the equipment seller asks Raphtalia and Naofumi about the deal with Philo. Raphtalia explains that, according to the slave merchant, Phiolials have a king or queen among them leading each flock. They are skilled at transforming into human shapes, but they require a special crest. Once they are given their crest, they can resist different things. The man asks why they have come to him if not just to show off the Phiolial, and Naofumi explains that they need many clothes because, unlike the Hulk's genes, once Phiolials transform, they tend to rip their outfits apart every single time. However, the man tells them he doesn't have any suitable clothes and suggests they go to someone who makes dresses. At the dressmaker shop, the dressmaker sees Philo as a cute small girl since she has transformed into a human. She curiously asks if Naofumi is actually her father, but he tells her that he is not her father but rather her owner. When she asks Naofumi to compliment her dress, Naofumi gives only a casual response. The dressmaker suggests different clothing materials and explains that she will make the clothes with magic thread so that they will not tear apart during transformations. Afterward, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Philo go to meet a magic woman, an old hag, who explains the type of machine to use for magic clothes. Curiously, Philo leaves their side and sees a crystal ball. She asks the woman what its uses are, and the woman instantly uses it to check Philo's magic power. She tells Philo she has a wind affinity and can blow away all her enemies. Philo feels proud of herself for having the special power of a wind affinity for her carriage work, and determines that anytime she sees the spear hero, she will kick his ego far up his arse. Naofumi tells the two, who are his slaves, that they should travel and make some money. On their way, with Philo pulling them in a carriage, they see a man trekking alone. The man asks for help, saying he needs to get medicine to a village further down the road. Naofumi decides to help the man, using Philo to carry him without the carriage. Naofumi tells the man he can pay later, as he doesn't want gratitude since the man said he had no money with him. Naofumi and the man get to their destination, and the man delivers the medicine to his mother while Naofumi listens to their conversation. Naofumi advises the man to warm some water. When the man delivers the water to Naofumi, Naofumi feeds it to the sick mother and immediately uses a magical spell on her. Instantly, the sick mother is healed, making both the woman and the man wonder what kind of magic spell he used. The man appreciates Naofumi with many silvers, and Naofumi continues his ride with Philo, thinking that he can do more work than just selling goods, but he can transport people too. Naofumi does a lot of work with Raphtalia and Philo, and they do well together in good and bad times. One day, while Naofumi and his two slaves are working normally, they carry a man on their way when a group of people blocks them. The passenger is a man who deals with accessories. The bandits call for a fight, but Raphtalia and Philo use magic to hang them together in one place. These bandits eventually ask Naofumi if he is the shield hero because he fought them without a weapon. Naofumi threatens them, saying that if he releases them to the local guards, they will start spreading rumors that the shield hero treated them cruelly. He uses Philo to threaten them further, asking her to eat them since she is an omnivore. That is when they realize the shield hero was once their savior, and they beg for mercy. Naofumi suggests he will release them if they work for him. Raphtalia doesn't initially buy the idea but later accepts it. Naofumi takes the opportunity to ask the accessory man how he's going to compensate him for the trouble and for using people to help carry the load. The accessory man tells Naofumi that he will offer him his knowledge and connections. Later, the man starts teaching Naofumi how to process precious metals into crafted gems and much more. The accessory man even manages to teach him some spells, and Naofumi starts getting a feel for mana and gains new business ventures. Through the man, Naofumi hears that Motoyasu has apparently saved a famine-stricken village to the southwest. Ren is apparently in the southeast looking for vicious monsters to slay, having even taken a dragon down. Itsuki is also going into dungeons on a quest for treasure. Naofumi really appreciates the accessory man for providing him with ample knowledge and connections. Shortly after, using the connection the accessory man gave him, Naofumi goes to a person who tells him he will provide gemstones at a discount. He asks for a gemstone to make magic thread. After a while, he brings the old hag magic woman to the gemstone merchant, and they travel to the location of a notorious building, an evil alchemist's base of operations. They enter a deep tunnel. As they go deep into the tunnel, Naofumi advises the old hag and Raphtalia to stay on their toes because of monsters. As they go deeper, a witch's voice enters Philo's mind, saying she will kill Naofumi from behind and that he is just pretending she is his slave. Immediately, the magic woman casts out the spell and opens their eyes, revealing the monsters behind the voice. Immediately, Naofumi sends Philo to fight the monsters. As they continue, they notice Nue monsters. Philo and Raphtalia don't wait before attacking, and the Nue attacks them back. Eventually, the magic woman uses a fire blast, and Philo makes a loud sound to destroy the new completely. They eventually find the beautiful magic thread needed to make the dress for Philo. After a while, the magic woman gathers all the magic thread required and tells Philo, who is changed back to human form, to start sewing. As she sews, the magic woman promises her a snack once she finishes with the sewing machine. Hearing that snacks are involved, she struggles through the work to finish the sewing. At last, they complete Philo's dress, and she looks even cuter. One afternoon, Naofumi urgently receives an order to deliver herbicide to the south. On his way to deliver the medicine, he sees vines obstructing his path and tells Philo to take them directly there. At the town, Naofumi sees the villagers and informs them about the fall of vines covering the town. The villagers tell him that they have tried so many solutions to these vines, and they even summoned adventurers, but these unending vines eventually turned into monsters that started attacking them. They explain that the adventurers made things even worse for them and could not do anything to stop it. Immediately after Naofumi hears this, he calls for Philo to go and bring back all of those adventurers. After Philo brings back these adventurers, she starts to talk, making people wonder if there is a heavenly fowl that is capable of speaking. The villagers then remember that they have been hearing rumors about a savior who travels in a carriage drawn by a heavenly fowl. The villagers beg Naofumi to help them heal the sick because, through the devouring plants, their bodies became ill. So, immediately, Naofumi uses his skills to heal those who are sick. After that, the villagers beg him again, explaining that the village has been suffering from famine since the visit of the spear hero, who planted a seed in the village. They explain that while they initially thought the miracle seed made their plants grow well, it reached a point where things came to ruin the village. The villagers beg Naofumi to help them. He initially hesitates because he does not like cleaning up Motoyasu's mess, but Naofumi ends up doing it anyway. He plans to get rid of the vines and the source with his natural skills. As the trees start regenerating, he uses his shield skills to walk through the vines, making Philo and Raphtalia see what the shield hero can do himself. Naofumi tells his two servants to gather all the pieces of the vines together. As they are doing that, Philo and Raphtalia fight over a flower, arguing over who is going to take it, while Naofumi performs an experiment with a stick using plant modification. The villagers gather, and they appreciate the shield hero for the success of the work, and he tells them to gather the vines and the branches they cut themselves. At night, all the villagers gather together with Philo, Raphtalia, and Naofumi outside. Naofumi still holds one of the seeds of the vines with him and performs another experiment where he curbs the poisonous vines and any toxic traits, and the plants grow well with many fruits without turning into monsters. So, he gives the village what will sustain them and offers them the fruit at an exchange rate, but the villagers do not have any money to give him, so he carries the fruit away with the intention of selling it later without stress. Afterward, Naofumi goes to the accessory man and sells the seed to him, and the man appreciates it. The man then asks for a favor from him, requesting that he deliver goods to an inn located in the hot spring town. At the hot spring town, Philo tells Naofumi that she really wants to go to the hot spring and experience the place, and when he asks Raphtalia about her wish, she hides the fact that she wants to go. However, Naofumi already knows that she really wishes to go and decides that they will all spend their night at the hot spring, making them happy and causing Philo to hug him, which makes Raphtalia start feeling jealous. At the hot spring inn, Raphtalia is in the water bath and feels jealous of Philo getting more clingy to Naofumi, wishing she could be clingy with him too. The history of the hot spring distracts her and she starts to dream of swimming with him. She then starts hearing Philo's and Naofumi's voices from another bath as he brushes her hair, making her even more jealous. At sleep time, Naofumi and his two servants lay down on the bed, while Raphtalia thinks of what she can do to get Naofumi back from Philo. She thinks of getting a gift for him so he will value it and love her more. So, Raphtalia stands up and starts looking for something called ladium on the mountain, and Philo joins her in searching for eggs from a bird called a gagako, which is a rare delicacy. But Philo's greed causes her to start running ahead of Raphtalia, and she almost falls. When Raphtalia tries to help her, both of them fall together. They do not realize they have fallen into a monster's nest. In the morning, Raphtalia and Philo appear carrying the monster that chased them. They meet two people on their way who ask them to hand over what they are carrying, a silver razorback monster that is used for offerings and town rituals. Both of them later sell the silver razorback for a tool that will help Naofumi in crafting metals. Raphtalia and Philo present the tool to Naofumi as a gift. He tells both of them to take a dip at the hot spring, which gladdens them. However, Raphtalia tells herself that one day she will make him recognize her womanly charms. At night, Naofumi starts doing his metal crafting while Philo and Raphtalia are sleeping. The next day, Naofumi and his two slaves get to a new town, but one villager warns him to turn back. He says that if they continue going down into the village, they will die, as there is even a plague that has reached the village elder. This makes Naofumi and Raphtalia curious as to what might be the cause of the plague. Naofumi and his two slaves travel down into the town they were warned about to sell medicine to them as a traveling merchant. Seeing Philo, one of the villagers calls for the village doctor upon seeing the heavenly fowl. Naofumi enters the place where the sick people are, and they all get healed by the medicine Naofumi gives them. However, the village gives him only a small amount of silvers, which he rejects. The people explain to him that there is is a wind from the mountain, which is home to monsters, that causes the sickness, and that they have not been totally cured from the illness. They explain that a month ago, there was a dragon that nested at the mountain, and it was the sword hero who killed the monster. They say that many adventurers came to get the dragon materials, but all of a sudden, those adventurers collapsed one by one as the dragon flesh started to emit and rot out some kind of poison. Eventually, Raphtalia asks the villagers why they cannot sort it out since they know the cause. So they explain that the mountain is filled with violent monsters, so only adventurers can enter the place. And that again, because of the dragon poison, the ecology there would have changed. So they tell Naofumi and Raphtalia that they have taken a stand by telling the court, but they are delaying the medicine. Naofumi tells the villagers to cancel the court request and tells Raphtalia to prepare to set out. He asks them to give him the money they plan to give to the court, and he demands a large amount of silver from them, giving the villagers a wrong impression about him as being just a money grubber rather than a savior. Afterward, Naofumi and the others set out to the mountain, and Raphtalia curiously asks him if he deliberately demanded the large amount of money from them to make them hate him. He does not answer her, thinking instead about all the monsters and the dragon they'll face where they're going. And truly, on their way, they see a lot of monsters but avoid them. They eventually get to where the dead dragon is. When they move closer, the dragon is already standing up, and Naofumi realizes that the dragon is not an ordinary dragon, but a dragon zombie. When Philo moves closer to the dragon, she attacks the dragon first because she hates seeing dragons, but they notice that the dragon is pouring out a poisonous substance. Philo and Raphtalia go to the back of Naofumi to prevent exposure to it, but he realizes that while he can take it, Raphtalia cannot absorb so much of it. Philo gets even angrier and attacks the dragon without listening to Naofumi's idea, but at the end of it, the dragon consumes Philo, making Raphtalia and Naofumi lose their moment of happiness as they lose a dear soul. Naofumi feels a hate shield within him, and he angrily turns into a monster, burning the zombie dragon into ash. He remembers the hateful memories of the king and mine, but then he remembers the words of Raphtalia and that she trusts him, so he turns back to normal. Sadly, Raphtalia also collapses while the dragon comes back to life, but Naofumi has hatred in his mind and completely uses his last skills to destroy the zombie dragon. While he is trying to heal Raphtalia with his healing magic, it does not work in time. But when he successfully destroys the dragon, Raphtalia comes back to life with the healing magic that he used before. To their surprise, the dead Philo comes back to life, surprising Raphtalia and Naofumi because they saw with their own eyes that the dragon consumed her with her blood flowing through the dragon's mouth. But Philo explains that during that time she gobbled up what she was eating, which is why they saw red things. She explains that inside the dragon's stomach, she saw a shining crystal, and she tried to tear up the belly of the dragon in order to get out from its body. Naofumi understands that the shining crystal is the dragon core. Surprisingly, Philo has eaten the crystal. Meanwhile, Raphtalia gives signs of illness, so they decide to leave. But Raphtalia advises them to clear the dragon mess up first, saying she will manage to be fine. When they return to the village, the villagers notice that the mountain wind has gone back to normal. They give him the amount of money he demanded, but he asks them to use the money to cure Raphtalia instead. They see that Raphtalia has been afflicted with a powerful curse, and they must wrap her with holy water. Unfortunately, they do not have holy water pure enough to dispel curses, and they tell Naofumi to go to the church at the main town to get the water. The villagers later give him the money, and they finally cure Raphtalia. So, Philo gives Naofumi the remaining crystal from the dragon, but unfortunately for him, it does not increase his level. He thinks of the way he misused his power in order to destroy the dragon, and he apologizes to Philo and Raphtalia for putting the two of them in danger. He says there are many things he should have done, but he hesitated and acted like a coward. Philo also apologizes to them for charging into the dragon recklessly because she hated the dragon. Eventually, Naofumi encourages Philo and Raphtalia, saying they are stronger than before and he believes that they will grow together. So, when it is time to sleep, Raphtalia asks Naofumi to sleep with her, but he declines, saying he is not a warm person, and orders Philo to sleep with her instead. He goes outside, determined to stay stronger for the people he loves. Sometime later, Naofumi and the others accept an adventurer job. After fighting all these monsters, they start heading to the capital as Naofumi announces to them that they are wrapping up the trading trip. But before they could wrap up, they need to get potent holy water from the capital church to dispel the curse on Raphtalia. So Naofumi and Philo tell Raphtalia to get better soon. After a while, Naofumi and the others see a group of birds with a girl, but immediately they see Naofumi and his slaves. They run off. Philo really wishes to hunt after them, saying that they will be yummy, but Naofumi tells Philo that those birds are of the same kind with her, so that's some cannibalistic messed up stuff. The girl that was surrounded by the birds moves closer to Naofumi and his slaves and sees Philo talking. She tells them that she dreamed of talking with a Philolial, and she offers Philo a piece of dried meat and starts playing with Philo by touching her feathers. While this happens, Naofumi and Raphtalia notice the way she is dressed, noting that she must be a noble's family daughter. The girl says her name is Melty, and she and Philo become friends. Eventually, Naofumi informs Philo that they have much work to do in the village and that Philo can play with Melty later. In her presence, Philo transforms into a human, and that surprises Melty. They start playing together after Philo takes permission permission from Naofumi, promising that she will come back by sunset, so he warns her not to go too far away. While she's gone, Naofumi and Raphtalia start healing people in the village. After the sunset, Philo enters the room where Naofumi is and tells him that she has made a lot of friends. Philo informs Naofumi that Melty is a girl that traveled to a lot of places like them. So, Philo starts explaining everything that Melty told her regarding how she got separated from her people when she was playing with Philolials. Suddenly, Melty also enters the door where Naofumi and Philo are. Melty asks Naofumi if he can allow her to accompany them for a little while, surprising Naofumi and Raphtalia, and she explains that one day she was on her way to the royal capital, but when she saw the Philolials, she was so engrossed playing with them and got separated from the guards. She heard from Philo that they are heading for the capital the next day and asks Naofumi if he can allow her to follow them. So, Naofumi considers that she is from a noble's family and there might be a reward that comes from it, but he also knows that if he takes her home alone, it might cause problems for him. When Naofumi didn't reply to Melty's request, Philo and Raphtalia beg him to allow her to follow them. He later allows it and asks Melty if there will be a reward that will come from it, and she replies that she will ask her father for the reward. While the group is packing to go back to the capital, some of the villagers gather around Naofumi and appreciate him for his good work, but he tells them that he would love them to show him gratitude with words, and he tells them that he will come back and take back everything they owe him, as he orders Philo to move the carriage. On their way, they all remember the moments they spent in the town, all the food they ate, the way they fought with monsters, and how Philo and Melty started their friendship. They stop at a village to sleep overnight, and Naofumi prepares wood in order to keep them warm while Raphtalia wakes up from her sleep. Raphtalia notices Melty is not with them, but she sees her clothes. They wonder if it was a monster that consumed Melty, but Philo explains that Melty is sleeping in her feathers and she wakes Melty. She tells him that Philo's feathers are warm and cool. Immediately after Raphtalia touches the feathers, she too falls asleep, making Naofumi wonder if the feathers can induce someone to sleep. The next day, Naofumi and his slaves, along with Melty, continue their journey to hand over Melty to her royal family. When they get there, Philo decides to take Melty home herself. So, Naofumi and Raphtalia enter a church, and as he enters the place, some priests come over to him and tell him that they have seen his magnificent duel at the royal palace. They say they can't believe he is battling with just his shield only. He moves toward them and tells them that they should hold their pleasantries, as he only came for a request for holy water. They tell him to pay an offering of 1 gold coin, and he immediately gives it because the life of Raphtalia is so precious to him, even when Raphtalia reluctantly tells him not to give them that amount. So, one of the priest's disciples gives Naofumi low-quality water because she thinks Naofumi is unequal, but the main priest tells her that God is compassionate to all, and she apologizes immediately to give Naofumi good quality water. The disciple later gives Naofumi quality water, and he even checks the power himself. He turns away from them as the priest admonishes him to always show his gratitude to God. As he goes outside with Raphtalia, he hears someone calling his name from behind and signals to Raphtalia to run away, but Raphtalia doesn't understand why they are even running away. So, Naofumi orders Raphtalia to go and call Philo, and he keeps running because he knows they are after him. All of a sudden, when Naofumi thinks that he's escaped from the person chasing him, the spear hero attacks him with full force with his spear weapon. The spear hero asks the shield hero to release Philo to him, saying that he loves seeing her wings and that his love at first sight has overridden him as he loves a blonde animal. So, the spear hero attacks the shield hero because of Philo, but someone comes around to protect the shield hero as Mine also gathers all the palace guards to fight with the shield hero. Before they commence the fight, Mine draws out a letter for an official duel between the spear hero and the shield hero with the authority given to her as a member of the crown. With that, Melty, another royal family member, also appears and orders the other guards to put their weapons down, saying that she will not allow 2 heroes to fight. Unknown to them, Miney and Melty are sisters. Melty tells the spear hero to look around and see the incident he has caused, putting people's lives at risk. Melty tells Mine that she has had enough of her selfishness, but Mine tells her that she is doing her job as she is taking the hero's side. So, Melty tells Mine that she will report her to her mother as Melty apologizes to the villagers for what Mine did. At the sight of Philo, the spear hero goes to meet her and tells her that if she needs a horse, he can give it to her, but she declines it. When the spear hero makes a statement that the shield hero was making her suffer by using a carriage to pull Naofumi all around, Philo tells the spear hero that she hates him and she kicks him in the nuts as she transforms into the winged Philo. So, with that, Mine orders her guards to go and call a doctor to treat Motoyasu as Naofumi smirks, mocking him. Afterward, Naofumi and his 2 slaves, along with Melty, go to meet a man in a shop. Melty explains to them that she is in line for the throne of Melromark. This makes Naofumi and his 2 slaves wonder how she would beat her sister Mine to the throne, but Melty explains that Mine has been a problem child at home due to her personality. Melty explains that she didn't know that Naofumi was the shield hero, and when she wants to continue, Naofumi shuts her up and tells her to get lost. At the blacksmith's shop, Melty tries to promise Naofumi something, but Naofumi cuts her off because of the royal family she belongs to. Soon after, a guard arrives to summon Melty, so she answers immediately and says her farewells to Philo. On Melty's way to the palace with her guard, she arrives to find the queen sending her on a mission. The queen instructs Melty to return to the capital so she can admonish the king for his unjust treatment of the shield hero. The queen wishes she could go herself, but for some unexplained reason, she cannot and must rely on Melty instead. Back where Naofumi and his two companions are, Raphtalia speaks to him and explains that he should have listened to Melty's words before cutting her short. Curiously, Philo asks Naofumi why he behaved that way toward Melty, but Naofumi strictly tells her never to talk to Melty again. Philo asks for a reason, but he ignores her, while Raphtalia understands it is likely because Melty is from the royal family. Philo rushes outside, and while she is there alone, some visitors arrive and meet her. Philo leads these visitors to Naofumi, who asks them exactly what they are looking for. These people ask for permission to accompany him during the next wave because they saw how well he fought in the last one. They tell the shield hero they want to fight alongside him because they are from Loot Village and saw how he saved their families. They want to help him in any way possible to repay him. Naofumi tells them that if they can pay a high price for the accessory he is holding, he will accept them. These people then decide to go and find the money for the item. Sometime later, Raphtalia asks Naofumi how he could do such a thing, asking visitors to buy a leftover accessory for an exorbitant amount. Even the blacksmith they are staying with cannot believe Naofumi's behavior. Naofumi gives the man some metal to work with, but the man tells him that if he wants to upgrade his party's classes, they need to be recognized by the court. Since he is a hero, he should have access to it. Naofumi uses his shield to investigate and sees that they must go to the Dragon Hourglass to upgrade. Later, Naofumi asks Raphtalia which class upgrade she wants to choose, but she replies that she is fine with whatever class he decides for her. However, he insists on her choosing her own path, explaining that after the wave, he plans to return to his world and wants her to choose a path that will help her future life. At the Dragon Hourglass, Naofumi and his two companions arrive, and the officials tell him that a class upgrade costs 15 gold pieces per person. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to go first. He gives the official the required amount, but a man appears and tells Naofumi that they have been forbidden from providing upgrades to the shield hero's party by order of the king. Naofumi angrily takes back his coins and leaves the place. Naofumi and his companions go to meet the slave trader, who says his business is doing well with the traveling trade. The man praises Raphtalia and Philo for being high-quality slaves. He asks Naofumi if he needs another slave or another filial experiment, but Naofumi tells the man to arrange class upgrades for him since the country will not allow it. He reminds the man that he mentioned having a slave over level 40. The man explains he does not offer that service himself, but can connect him to the Dragon Hourglass in another country. Because Naofumi is the first to ask about that offer, the man provides a map for free and picks a favorable country for upgrades. He recommends Soapfelt, explaining that it will take 2 weeks to a month to get there depending on the transportation. The man also advises equipping the Filial Queen with a weapon. Philo is excited by the mention of a weapon, and the man charges 5 gold pieces for it. Naofumi gives him something valuable in exchange, making the merchant happy that Naofumi has grown into a man he likes. The man gives Naofumi a wyvern stone for Philo and says he should test it where the monsters are kept. Sometime later, Naofumi and his slaves enter the area, but the stench of the place is almost too much for them to bear. Raphtalia wonders why there would be monsters in the capital's sewers. On their way, they see a dragon. Raphtalia attacks the dragon first, while Philo uses the claw weapon the slave merchant gave her to fight, but Raphtalia is soon injured during the battle. At night, when Naofumi wants to heal Raphtalia, he uses bandages, and the area where the bandages are applied heals immediately. Naofumi tells Raphtalia to let her injury heal quickly so they can prepare for the next wave. While he stocks up on medicine for her, Raphtalia worries that after the wave is repelled, he will go back to his own world, and she asks if she can go with him. Suddenly, Philo wakes up and accuses Raphtalia of trying to kiss Naofumi. Naofumi tells them both to be quiet and prepare for the next day. The next morning, Naofumi and his companions start their journey in their carriage. They reach a town and stop there. Some villagers beg him to trade what they have to him for food. The villagers explain they are refugees from the north who started a revolution, and the person who led them used a bow. Naofumi orders Raphtalia to set up a kitchen for the villagers, and food is served to them. After helping the villagers, Naofumi informs his companions that the wave will hit in the next 72 hours. However, Philo says she is hungry because all she thinks about is food, so Naofumi takes them to lunch. They enter a building to eat, where Ren and Itsuki are also present, so Naofumi and his companions watch them from a distance. Ren is having issues regarding how he overthrew a tyrant in the north. The guild did not pay him and gave the reward to someone else instead. Itsuki is also having similar issues and is trying to figure out who is pretending to be them. As they talk, Ren's companion tells him she received a request to overthrow a lord who is taxing citizens beyond the legal limit. Naofumi overhears Ren and Itsuki and connects their words to the taxes mentioned by the villagers, realizing that their actions are causing problems for the people. Ren feels that someone needs to be taught that with great power comes great responsibility. When their meal is served, Philo makes an excited sound because the food is delicious. Ren and Itsuki quickly notice Naofumi and confront him, accusing him of impersonating them and stealing their rewards. Naofumi asks if they were the the adventurers who helped the resistance in the north. They say yes, but Naofumi explains that while things improved at first, the resistance started raising taxes. Naofumi then asks if they are referring to the disease. Itsuki asks why Naofumi stole their job, but Naofumi explains that the corpse of the dragon they killed caused an epidemic. He got rid of the corpse, which is why their job was cancelled. Because of their carelessness, people died from the spreading disease. Itsuki believes him, but Ren remains skeptical. Later, Naofumi goes to see the equipment merchant, who embeds a zombie dragon core into Naofumi's breastplate and adds an auto repair function. Naofumi feels like the breastplate makes him look like a bandit, but Philo likes it. Suddenly, the people from Loot Village who wanted to join him return. They have raised the 150 silver pieces Naofumi asked for. Naofumi surprises them by giving the money back, telling them to use it to buy equipment for themselves. They are very happy. Naofumi uses his shield to check their levels and sees they are lower than his. He warns them that if they betray him, they will pay for it, but they promise they won't. Eventually, Naofumi suggests they hold their first meeting immediately. In a quiet corner, two people are talking secretly. One person reports that Melty and the shield hero have made contact. It seems the queen has ordered the informant to keep a constant eye on them. The queen, receiving the information, wonders to herself if the heroes will be able to handle the upcoming wave. The shield hero, his two companions, and his volunteer warriors go to the Dragon Hourglass. The merchant who sells equipment is also with them. He tells them he has gathered some extra weapons to use as backup during the wave. They also stock up on plenty of medicine to heal people. Naofumi gives Raftalia a present, a bracelet for her wrist that will boost her mana. He also gives Philo a gift, which is a hairpin for her hair that will increase her agility. The warriors who volunteered to join Naofumi start checking the countdown for the next wave. When the timer reaches 0, they tell him that the time for the battle has finally come. Naofumi tells him that they will all be teleported together, so he teleports along with his two companions and his warriors, leaving the equipment merchant behind. Inside the wave, monsters begin attacking the villagers. The warriors who join the shield hero defend one of the villagers and attack a monster. They do not notice a large lizardman attacking from behind, but the shield hero, Raftalia, and Philo strike the lizardman in a flash. This makes the two warriors wonder at their strength. Naofumi tells the warriors to stay alert because more monsters are coming. After he says this, two more monsters appear, but an unknown woman kills them with a single hit. This makes Raftalia and Philo wonder who she is. The woman faces the shield hero and thanks him for helping her. Naofumi quickly remembers that she is the woman he healed in a different town. The woman tells them that these monsters are small and easy for her to handle because she used to fight a lot when she was an adventurer. While she is talking, the other warriors join the shield hero and report that they have evacuated the villagers. Naofumi tells the warriors to stay alert and wipe out the remaining monsters. The shield hero waits for more monsters to show up, but none appear for 3 hours. Eventually, Naofumi tells his two companions to move further away to search. On their way, the shield hero and his companions see a large ghost ship surrounded by monsters. Ren is using his weapon to attack the monsters surrounding the ship. Motoyasu and Itsuki are inside the ship attacking Soul Eater monsters, but they cannot seem to damage them. The shield hero arrives at their location, carried by Philo. He advises the other heroes that they must work together to fight the Soul Eaters, otherwise the monsters will continue to multiply. He tells them that if they lose this fight, all the villagers will die. Naofumi uses his skills to check the level of the Soul Eater and sees it is higher than their own levels. He also checks to see if there is another way the monsters are appearing. Naofumi orders Raftalia to use her light magic and tells Philo to attack. Suddenly, the Soul Eater spreads across the entire ship. Ren, Itsuki, and Motoyasu use their magic, but their spells do not seem to work. Naofumi tells Philo and Raftalia to get behind him so the Soul Eater does not spray poison on them. When the Soul Eater pours a green substance from its mouth, everyone on the ship falls to the ground, but Naofumi uses his shield to protect Philo and Raftalia. Later, he tells them to attack the Soul Eater again, but their attacks still do not work. Seeing that they are running out of time, Naofumi tells Raftalia he must use the Rage Shield. Raftalia has no choice but to accept. When he uses the Rage Shield, he sees the spirit of the zombie dragon he fought before, and the dragon tells Naofumi he will pay for what he did. As Naofumi uses the shield, his body and face seem to turn to fire. The other heroes do not understand what he is going through. Mina starts saying cruel things, claiming Naofumi is just turning into a wild beast. Immediately, Raftalia confronts the heroes. She tells them they should not speak like that or just stand there watching because Naofumi is risking his life to fight for the villagers and for them. After hearing Raftalia's words, the heroes start looking at him differently. Ren uses his weapon to attack the Soul Eater from a distance, and although Mine tells Motoyasu not to help the shield hero, both Motoyasu and Itsuki eventually help Naofumi attack the monsters. When Raftalia cannot stand to see him in pain anymore, she holds Naofumi's hands to help him turn back into a normal human. He returns to his senses and remembers his promise to protect Philo, Raftalia, and the villagers. He uses his shield skills to trap the monsters in a shield prison. He then hangs the prison in the air and summons the Iron Maiden to crush it. What Naofumi does surprises all the other heroes. Philo changes back to her human form and goes to meet Motoyasu, who is boasting that he could do the same thing Naofumi did. Before he can finish speaking, the environment around them changes and new monsters appear. However, a sudden strike clears the monsters away. A girl descends from the sky and tells the hero she is disappointed in them. She asks how they can be the heroes the world relies on if they cannot kill a single monster. She moves closer and says that among all the heroes standing there, only one person is a true hero. She faces the shield hero and asks for his name. He attacks her and tells her she should be the one to introduce herself first. She introduces herself as Glass. She tells them they should feel free to consider her their enemy. Naofumi introduces himself as Glass draws her iron fans to begin the fight, the true battle of the wave. During the battle of the wave, Glass appears before the heroes. She describes the fight as the true battle of the wave, specifically for Naofumi, because she recognizes him as the only hero capable of facing and conquering the world's fate. Naofumi uses his skills to check Glass's level, but he only sees a question mark instead of a number. Glass tells Naofumi to attack her first and even tells him to order all of his servants to fight her, referring to the other numbskull heroes. The word servant makes the other heroes very angry, and they draw their weapons against Glass. However, none of their weapons affect her at all, which surprises everyone. She attacks them with magic, and all of the heroes except Naofumi are unable to stand firmly. After a moment, Naofumi uses his shield prison to trap her, but she breaks the iron bars surrounding the prison and frees herself. Naofumi sends his two companions to attack her, but they cannot defeat her. When she draws her fan blade at Raftalia, Naofumi uses his skills to send two monsters toward her, but she treats them like a simple game. Naofumi even sends Philo to give her quick kicks, but Glass seems to admire the attempts because not even Philo's kicks can touch her. Naofumi tries to use shield prison again, but nothing works, and it even puts Philo and Raftalia in danger. Naofumi decides to use the rage shield, and Raftalia gives him permission to do so. Naofumi moves close to Glass with his fiery rage, but the shield does not feel hot to her. Instead, she says it feels cold like a burning furnace. Glass attacks Naofumi, but she cannot touch him, which makes her realize that Naofumi's defense really lives up to his title as a shield hero. However, Naofumi uses a shield skill on Glass and immediately lifts her up. He uses the Iron Maiden to lock her inside, but she breaks the Iron Maiden, surprising both Naofumi and Raftalia. Soon after, the sky starts to change, which alerts Glass that the wave will end very soon. Naofumi gives Raftalia a signal to use her light magic. Glass boasts that even if the wave ends soon, it will end with her victory. Raftalia uses light magic on her, and Naofumi quickly heals Philo, telling her to carry him and Raftalia away. Glass starts looking for them, and when she notices them, she attacks Philo while she is carrying the others. Naofumi uses his shield to block the attack as Philo runs at a very high speed. Glass gives up on chasing them because her attacks can no longer reach them. She promises to disappear for now, but assures herself that if Naofumi stays at his current level, he will not survive their next encounter. Glass disappears back into the sky, certain that her side will triumph. Naofumi and his companions see the sky change back as the wave disappears. Raftalia later realizes they had to use the light magic just to run away from Glass. When the light returns to normal, all the villagers go back to their daily lives. Meanwhile, Naofumi sits and thinks about the fight with Glass. He notices that he could not see any information about her stats. From the fight, he realizes he needs to know the true reason for the waves and why Glass is so determined to defeat the heroes. He asks himself many questions but finds no answers. He is determined to grow stronger before the next wave so that people do not end up dying. He also decides to get a class upgrade for Philo and Raftalia and to upgrade his own skills. While he is thinking about his next steps, a group of guards informs him that he has been ordered to report to the castle. Afterward, Naofumi reports to the king's palace. The king appreciates his work in stopping the wave, but he is still unable to come down from his ridiculously high horse. Naofumi feels that the king's gratitude is not enough. He says that if it were not for the warriors who begged him to go to the capital, he would not have shown up at all. The king is very curious about how Naofumi obtained his strength and orders him to reveal the secret of his power. Naofumi tells the king that if he wants to know the secret, the king must kneel down before him. This amazes everyone in the room. Naofumi even bluffs, saying he can eliminate the king if he is not careful. Immediately, the guards surrounding the king draw their swords to fight Naofumi, but he makes them realize that if they kill him, no one will be able to stop the monsters. Naofumi tells the king that the wave is the only thing bothering him, and once the waves are gone, he will go back to his home. He then walks out. As he leaves, the king dares him by saying his wretched slaves will suffer for his behavior. That word does not bother Naofumi. He warns the king that if he dares to lay a hand on his party, he will chase the king to the ends of the earth and make him pay. On Naofumi's way out, a lady walks beside him and says the way he acted was splendid because the king has never appreciated his efforts. She warns Naofumi to use extreme caution as he moves forward and shows him a small piece of iron equipment. After a while, Nulti enters the palace. When the king sees her, he tells her she can ask for anything and he will do it for her. She tells him she heard he just talked to the shield hero and that the conversation was hostile. She tells the king that if he continues to be difficult with the shield hero, they might lose the fight against the wave. waves, which would threaten the safety of the country. She begs the king to reconcile with the shield hero and asks why he hates him so much. The king tells her that if he let the shield hero and the demi-humans do whatever they wanted, he would lose his family. As Melty is still begging the king, Mine enters the palace. Mine tells Melty that her defiance is an insult and that the king's word is final. She says the princesses cannot overturn the king's decisions and that what the king is doing is for the betterment of the country. She advises Melty to wait until she grows older. Melty tells Mine it is none of her business and that since the king and queen care about the country, it is her job as a crown princess to see the whole situation through. When she sees that Mine has interfered, she tells the king she will see him later and turns away. The king watches her leave, while Mine holds onto the king's hand, burning with anger. Later, Naofumi's party goes to meet the equipment merchant. The man says he heard Naofumi went to the palace to pick a fight with the king, but Naofumi explains it was actually the king who started the fight. The man says he has all the equipment they could need. He doubts the country will allow Naofumi to use the dragon hourglass. Naofumi says he has no plan to use that one. He plans to go to Siltveld or Shieldfrieden instead. The man shows him a map and recommends Shieldfrieden. He advises that it will take a month to reach and suggests traveling by Philolial as it will be faster than a wagon. The man even helps them pack their things, which makes Philo very happy. Naofumi asks for another sword for Raptalia, but she declines, saying he should save the money for their class upgrades. Soon after, Naofumi and his party set out for another country. Naofumi and Raptalia look at what the merchant gave them, a shield accessory for Naofumi and a monosword for Raptalia that she can use on enemies without causing physical harm. They stop at a beach, where Raptalia and Philo play in the water. Naofumi thinks about the items given to them for the Philolial they are using for travel. At a quiet place, the party stops to rest. Naofumi enjoys the travel, feeling that no one will stop him, not the heroes or the royalty. All of a sudden, Melty and her guards arrive. Philo is happy to see her, but Naofumi does not like her being there. Philo tells him Melty is a good girl. Melty moves closer and tells Naofumi she wants him to return to the capital and meet with King Altcray again. Naofumi refuses, but she tells him to go back and apologize. She says the country needs him to stop the waves and he needs the king's financial support. Melty feels sad because she dislikes that the shield hero and the king are fighting. She tells Naofumi to apologize. If he won't, the queen will have to come to the palace herself to yell at the king. Naofumi does not know what to do. He looks at Melty's guards and sees a crystal item on one of them. He senses a setup and remembers what happened during Mine's betrayal. Immediately, one of the guards comes forward with a sword to attack Melty from the back, and Naofumi uses his shield to protect her. Suddenly, the guard then accuses Naofumi of taking Princess Melty hostage and orders his fellow knights to attack the shield hero. Naofumi tells Raptalia and Philo to fight the knights while he keeps Melty safe with his shield. When the knights see they cannot win, they retreat and run for their lives. However, a group of two people who did not join the fight stayed behind, holding a crystal to record the entire scene. At the place where the knights and warriors are, they watch the footage they recorded with the crystal. They send this footage to the nearby towns and villages to frame Naofumi. At night, Naofumi, his two companions, and Melty stay in a town overnight. Raptalia gives Naofumi a report explaining that the knights have edited the footage and that entering other towns would be too risky. Naofumi remembers how he captured one of the knights who tried to attack Melty during the day. He asked the knight why he wanted to kill another princess, but the man failed to give an answer. Naofumi holds an instrument given to him at the entrance of the palace. He wants to use it but is very afraid of the king's evil plans against him. Naofumi tells his companions that it was Melty's father, the king, who forced them to sleep where they are tonight because of his schemes and makes Melty worried. Melty takes her father's side and says the king could not order such a thing. She suggests it was Mine who ordered it because she wants to take the title of crown princess away from her. Naofumi tells her the order likely came from Mine and the king together because the knights who attacked her were the king's own men. He explains that they even planned it so they could frame him. Melty tries to tell Naofumi that the king is not responsible for everything. She advises him to stay calm with the king because they are running out of time. She begins to cry because she is not brave enough to face the king right now. Philo tries her best to comfort Melty, but Naofumi does not answer. Naofumi turns away and tells Melty that he is leaving the country. He asks her what she will do next, and she says she will return to the capital. He tells her that is a bad idea because the knights will kill her. He advises her to follow them and promises to protect her. Naofumi tells everyone to prepare to leave before dawn, but he does not say exactly where they are going. At dawn, they start walking to escape and leave their wagon behind. He promises Philo they will return for the wagon later. As they travel, Naofumi finds a place to rest. Raptalia tells Naofumi that Melty looks tired and asks why he chose to go toward Siltveld. He says that because the security there is so strict, there must be a reason why they were stopped from going there before, making it a perfect place for them to hide. At night, while Philo is sleeping on Melty, the others stay awake. Melty asks Naofumi what exactly the issue is between him and her father. She mentions that her mother is on the shield hero's side, but Naofumi does not know her mother. She explains that her mother is the queen of the country and has more power than the king because Melromark is a matrilineal monarchy. Naofumi mocks the king, realizing he only married into the royal family. Melty does not find it funny, but Naofumi thinks it is amusing exposing that the king essentially stole his royal status. While they talk, they hear footsteps and Naofumi orders the group to get ready to leave immediately. The guards surrounding the area are looking for them but cannot find them at first. As Naofumi's group moves forward, they find the guards have blocked their path. Naofumi tells his companions to move back a little, but Melty accidentally almost falls. The sound she makes alerts the guards and the other heroes, who block Naofumi in the front. Ren tells Naofumi to stop resisting and release Princess Melty. Naofumi says he is not holding her captive but is protecting her. Melty also tells them she was not abducted and that the queen wants everyone to work together to stop the catastrophe instead of fighting. She orders the knights and heroes to lower their weapons. When Naofumi tries to speak and explain it is a setup, the nasty loudmouth Mine interrupts and tells them not to listen. She claims the shield has the power to brainwash people and that the three heroes' church is also against him. Mine tells the heroes that the shield hero brainwashes people. Motoyasu is easily deceived and believes Raphtalia and Philo are brainwashed. Itsuki also believes Mine and tells Naofumi to release Melty. Mine tells Melty to come to her, but Melty refuses, knowing she will be eliminated if she follows her. Naofumi says Mine wants to kill Melty so she can become the crown princess when no one is looking. He tells Philo to carry them away, but Motoyasu uses his weapon to make them fall and Mine uses magic on them. Philo falls separately and Motoyasu grabs her, but Melty uses magic to set her free. Mine continues to use magic on Melty and Naofumi, while Ren and Itsuki are watching. They now believe Mine really wants to eliminate Melty. Mine denies it, claiming she was attacked first. Naofumi activates his rage shield, and the knight swords cannot touch him while his fire affects them. Soon after, Naofumi gives Ren the recording instrument so he can understand the truth. Later, Naofumi, his companions, and Melty escape. When they find a place to rest, a person in black appears. Raphtalia reaches for her sword, but Melty stops her, explaining the person is a shadow, under the queen's control. The person tells Naofumi the queen wants to meet him. She explains the chaos is a setup because people are alarmed by his success. Naofumi asks what he will gain from the meeting, and the person disappears. Naofumi checks his map and sees the queen is in the opposite direction from Siltfeld. He asks Melty if she knows the way, but she is angry and tells him not to call her princess anymore. They use each other's names directly and stop arguing, but Raphtalia feels uncomfortable. Suddenly they smell burning and see a fire ahead, where someone is smiling inside the flames. Mine plans to trap Naofumi, his two servants, and Melty by shooting fire at them. She starts burning everything around them. Naofumi, his servants, and Melty tell each other that this is not a normal forest fire. They know Mine started it to hurt them, so they decide to leave that place. The next morning, Naofumi goes to buy things with his face covered. The shopkeeper tells him he cannot cross into Siltfell for a while because there are rumors that the Shield Devil kidnapped the king's daughter. Naofumi gives the man all the money without taking his change and disappears quickly. After a while, some of the king's guards meet the shopkeeper. They show him a picture of the man they are looking for, but the shopkeeper denies seeing him. Naofumi goes back to Raphtalia, Philo, and Melty. He tells them to give up on going to Siltfell. Instead, they will go to meet the queen. They notice there are many demi-humans in the area where they are hiding. While they are in the forest, Melty sees a man walking by. She thinks she knows him and hopes he can help. She says the man is the Lord of Sayayet. She explains that even though humans treat demi-humans like slaves now, some noblemen in the past tried to live together peacefully. While Melty talks about demi-humans, Raphtalia stays quiet. Naofumi notices her silence. She tells them that her home village was in the Lord of Sayayet's territory. Melty is surprised because she heard that Sayayet was attacked by rioters after the wave. She explains that the village was actually attacked by a mob of Melromark soldiers. Melty apologizes to Raphtalia for what Melromark did to her people. She promises that when everything is over, she will take charge and bring justice to them. As they talk, Naofumi is still worried about whether they can trust the man. A man named Reichnaut, who Melty knows, joins the conversation. He greets Naofumi and introduces himself as the Lord of the Domain. He invites them to his mansion, and they go inside. At the mansion, Reichnaut tells Naofumi about the lies he heard from the knights. He heard that Naofumi started the wildfires to hide his tracks. Naofumi explains that the first princess likely made up those lies. Reichnaut says he has been watching the area for her. He tells Melty to rest because she must be stressed from traveling, and they serve food immediately. When the food is on the table, Philo feels restless and asks Naofumi if she can eat. He tells her not to eat yet because he does not trust the man at all. Reichnaut takes a bite of Naofumi's food to show them it is not poisoned. Naofumi tells them they are leaving the next morning because staying longer makes it more likely they will be found. Reichnaut tells Melty she has grown up more than before. He says her time with the shield hero has helped her, unlike before when she tried too hard to act mature. This makes Melty feel emotional. Later, Reichnaut gives them beds to rest. Philo jumps on a bed and feels how soft it is. Raphtalia tells Naofumi to sleep for a bit, but he says he promised himself not to sleep because the place might be attacked soon. Raphtalia tells him she will guard the room so he can sleep. Melty feels jealous because Naofumi ignored her advice but listened to Raphtalia. After a while, Philo tells Melty she wants to explore, and they go outside. This leaves Raphtalia and Naofumi alone in the room, where Raphtalia tells him he should be nice to Melty. Outside the mansion, Philo notices Melty's mood has changed and asks asks what is wrong. Melty says that since she started staying with Naofumi, she's been acting more like a child, and her way of speaking has become rougher. Philo tells Melty that she likes her the way she is, and that Melty looks happy when talking to Naofumi. Philo suggests that Melty should let Naofumi treat her kindly, just like he does with Raphtalia and Philo. Meanwhile, knights are searching the country for Melty. At the palace, the king tells the guards that if anything happens to Melty, he will have them executed. While that's going on, Naofumi tells Melty to sleep when it becomes dark. She says she is tired of running away and that there are many things she should be doing as the princess. Naofumi tells her that her life is the first priority and her duties come second once she is safe. She listens to him and goes to rest. While Raphtalia is sleeping, she has the same nightmare she always has, and Naofumi holds her hand. Later that night, Naofumi looks out the window and sees that Reichnaut has been captured. A servant tells Naofumi they must leave. She explains that a nobleman from the next town accused Reichnaut of hiding Naofumi and Melty. She tells them to escape through the kitchen door. Knights fill the mansion and shout for the Devil of the Shield. The servants hide Naofumi's group in the kitchen. When the knights enter, they push the servants. Melty steps forward and tells them she is the second princess of Melromark. She orders them to stop while Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Philo watch from their hiding spot. Raphtalia wants to help, but Naofumi stops her to see what the knights will do. A man named Idor Rabier walks forward while the other knights hesitate. Melty asks if the soldiers belong to him, and he says they do. She orders him to leave, but he ignores her and asks where the shield hero is. Melty lies and says Naofumi escaped alone. She says she will tell the king good things about Idor if he stops. Idor says he will take her to the capital himself and tells his men to take her to his mansion instead. Afterward, Naofumi and Raphtalia go back to their room and see that Philo is gone. Naofumi calls for her and she appears. She explains that Melty told her to stay hidden no matter what. When Philo asks where Melty is, no one answers, so she realizes Melty was taken. Naofumi promises to rescue her and not break her trust. Soon after, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Philo get ready to go to Idor's mansion, but Raphtalia suddenly stops because she had a painful memory. Naofumi asks if she knows Idor, and she says she does. He tells her she can stay behind if she wants, but she refuses. She says she wants to face her past. Outside the mansion, they see Reichnaut's servants trying to save him. Inside, Idor mocks Melty and calls the people outside lies. He tries to make her tell him where Naofumi is, but she refuses. They bring Reichnaut out and threaten him for helping the shield hero. Suddenly, Philo runs into the mansion at full speed. Naofumi and Raphtalia follow and fight the guards. Raphtalia freezes for a moment when she remembers being a prisoner there, but Naofumi tells her to focus. Guards attack and Raphtalia fights back. Naofumi uses his venom shield to scare a guard and asks where Melty is. Inside, Idor threatens Melty again until Philo and Raphtalia break into the room. Naofumi arrives and uses his shield to separate Melty from Idor, hurting him. Melty asks why Naofumi came back, and he says that no hero leaves a child behind. Even though she acts like she is scolding him, she thanks him. Idor stands up again, very angry. He says they will pay for making fun of him. Raphtalia steps forward with her sword. She reminds him that many demi-humans begged him for mercy in the past, mercy that he never showed to them. Raphtalia thinks about the past and the destruction of the demi-humans. She remembers talking with her friend Rafana. Back then, their town was a happy place where young people, old people, and even birds lived together in peace. Rafana asked Raphtalia if she loved anyone besides her parents. Raphtalia did not understand the question, so Rafana answered it herself. Rafana said that if she ever married, she wanted to marry one of the legendary heroes. While they were talking, the sky changed, and they experienced their first wave. In the present, Raphtalia points her sword at the man who killed many demi-humans in his underground prison. The man confesses that he kept demi-humans enslaved there. He claims that if he had not done it, many more people would have died. The man begs Raphtalia for his life. She does not want to listen, but Naofumi interferes. He tells her that killing the man will not help her find peace. She listens to Naofumi and pulls back her sword. However, she tells the man he is a terrible person for making the demi-humans suffer and killing them. She says he must pay for his crimes. As she turns away, the man attacks her first. Raphtalia fights back and tells him that demi-humans deserve to live. She pushes him through a window, and he falls to his death. The guards in the compound hear the noise and find the dead man. Raphtalia feels guilty about what happened, but Naofumi tells her it was not her fault. After a while, Reichnaut comes out and thanks Naofumi for saving him. Melty rushes to Reichnaut and heals his injuries. Reichnaut suggests they all run away together, but Naofumi says they need to check something first. Naofumi, Raphtalia, Philo, Melty, and Reichnaut go to the place where the demi-humans were kept as prisoners. Raphtalia shows them where she was once held captive. As they go deeper into the prison, she remembers her father. She remembers him telling her to always keep smiling, and she thinks about about visiting his grave after he died. She also remembers being released and telling the other survivors that they would rebuild their village together. But before they could, soldiers from Melromark attacked again and captured many children. As they explore the prison, Raccoon feels sick seeing where Raftalia was treated so badly. Raftalia remembers how the guards beat them mercilessly. Back then, the children wished the shield hero would come to save them. She remembers when a guard took her away because she had been sold to a slave merchant. She cried loudly because she had to leave her friend Rafana behind. In the present, Raccoon finds a survivor. They discover many children who were forgotten in the prison. Raftalia sees her old friends. She finds a friend who went through a lot with her, and they repeat their promise to rebuild their village. Naofumi heals the girl's wounds. She is happy to see that the shield hero is real and says Rafana would have been happy to see him too. Raftalia asks her friend Keel if she knows where Rafana is. Raftalia runs through the prison looking for her friend. Eventually, she finds Rafana's skeleton in the spot where she left her years ago. Melty and the others cannot believe such a thing happened in Melromark. Melty remembers her mother's words and decides she must return to the capital to tell the king he is wrong for treating people so unfairly. Everyone gathers around as Raftalia cries over the skeleton of her friend. She tells him that Rafana always wanted to see the shield hero. Naofumi tells her they should collect the bones and give her a proper funeral so she can rest in peace. Raftalia continues to cry, saying she failed to protect her people. However, Gil tells her that she gave them hope. Gil says they survived because of Raftalia's strength and her smile. Raftalia apologizes for losing her smile and focusing only on fighting. Naofumi tells her that if he hadn't met her, he never would have learned to trust people again. He says it is because of her that Philo and Melty are with them. Keel adds that Raftalia used to be a tiny girl, but now she is a cool lady. Naofumi says that because of her, many people are safe. Raftalia imagines Rafana in heaven. In her mind, they laugh together, and Rafana promises they will see each other again one day in their village. Later, they bury Rafana properly, and Raftalia promises to return one day with a flag and bring Naofumi with her. As they leave with the rescued children, they see that the man Raftalia pushed out the window is still alive. He is trying to gain more power. Ryknot becomes scared because the man is standing near an ancient monument built by past heroes to seal away a monster. The man breaks the seal and releases the monster, shocking Naofumi and the others. The man eventually releases the monster, and it faces the shield hero and his team. Nearby, a small girl notices her bird chirping. She understands that the bird is telling her a candidate for the next queen is close by, so she decides to find this incoming queen. Meanwhile, the monster starts destroying buildings and hurting people. Naofumi tells his party to get out of there. As they run, the monster tries to attack Naofumi, but Philo hits it. Naofumi says they need to lead the monster out of the town. Ryknot tells Naofumi he will stay behind to move the children to safety. Philo carries Melty, Raftalia, and Naofumi to lure the monster away. They eventually stop, and the monster attacks them again. Raftalia and Philo attack the monster, but their strikes do nothing. When Naofumi prepares to use the rage shield, Melty stops him. Suddenly, a magic mist appears, and a group of Philolials surrounds them and the monster. A massive Philolial queen appears in the mist. She tells the monster to hand over a fragment and she will spare its life, but the monster does not answer. The monster attacks her first, but the Philolial queen quickly destroys it. She takes the item they were fighting over, and Naofumi is surprised because even Philo could not hurt the monster. After the fight, the Philolial queen turns into a human and introduces herself to Naofumi. Her name is Pitoria, the queen of all Philolials in the world. Melty is shocked because she has heard legends about her. She knows that centuries ago, a hero raised a legendary Philolial. Meanwhile, Philo wonders if she will become like Pitoria one day. Naofumi tells her that if she wants to grow that large, she will have to live on her own, and it would take many lifetimes longer than a normal Philolial life. The Philolial queen asks everyone to introduce themselves, so Naofumi, Raftalia, Philo, and Melty all give their names. Pitoria thanks Melty for her kindness, and Melty explains to Naofumi that she met the Philolial queen once before while traveling back to the capital. Naofumi thanks Pitoria for killing the monster and asks what she wants in return. However, Pitoria says the story is long and this location is not good for talking. She offers them a ride, but Naofumi tells her to wait. Pitoria knows he wants to take dragon materials for his shield, so she tells him she hates the cursed power in those materials and warns him about the consequences. Naofumi says he needs the dragon materials and the raid shield to survive, so she allows him to take the materials but orders everyone into her carriage because she has questions for him. They travel a long distance very quickly and soon arrive at a ruined building. Melty asks if this is a Philolial sanctuary, and Pitoria explains that humans are usually not allowed there. Soon after, Naofumi prepares some grub for himself, Pitoria, and his party, but he does not make food for the other Philolials gathered there. They look at him like he's just insulted their tribe, so he has to cook for them too. After eating, all the Philolials fall asleep. Pitoria tells Naofumi they should talk while the others are sleeping. She asks how the monster escaped the seal, and also explains she was in the area looking for a new queen candidate. Naofumi does not understand what a candidate is, so she explains that Philo is growing differently because a hero is raising her. Pitoria tells Naofumi she is upset that the cardinal heroes are fighting each other while the waves are happening. She knows humans treat the shield hero poorly, but she says it is unacceptable for the heroes to fight. She asks if he knows about the dragon hourglass and explains that the waves are happening all over the world, not just in Melromark, and asks why he is not fighting them in other countries. She says the 4 heroes are supposed to be sent to different countries to help everyone. Naofumi realizes he didn't know every country had its own hourglass. Vittoria says she doesn't care about humans, but the hero who raised her ordered her to protect the world. She needs the heroes to work together because she cannot save everything alone. Meanwhile, Ren and Itsuki follow the information Naofumi gave them. They suspect the 3 heroes' church is hiding something, so they use their powers to break in and find a mystery and secret books. Mine hides nearby, watching to see what they are doing. Back with Naofumi, Vittoria advises him to make peace with the other heroes if he wants to protect the world. She says it is wrong for them to fight no matter what, and she warns him that if she sees the heroes fighting again, she will simply kill all 4 of the cardinal heroes. The next day, Naofumi and the Philolials wait for Naofumi to finish dishing the meal. Meanwhile, Naofumi thinks about what the Philolial queen told him about killing all of them herself if the 4 cardinal heroes do not cooperate. Suddenly, the Philolial queen uses a wind prison on Melty and says she is taking her as a hostage. The Philolial queen keeps Melty trapped with magic. She threatens Naofumi and tells him he must find a way to unite with the other heroes. She says she promised a past hero to save the world, and to do that, the 4 heroes must work together. Naofumi disagrees and says he will not reunite with them. The Philolial queen threatens to summon new heroes, and to do that, she must eliminate the current ones. She begs the shield hero to reconcile with the others. When Naofumi tries to use the rage shield against her, she immediately cuts through his weapon. His rage shield and all his other skills do not work against her. Afterward, the Philolial queen tells Naofumi that if he believes his party can fight the wave alone, Philo must prove it by fighting her one-on-one. They fight in their human forms, and Vittoria promises that if Philo wins, she will release Melty and stop threatening them. Philo and the queen begin to fight, but Philo cannot hurt her and keeps falling to the floor. Naofumi wonders why Vittoria wants to fight Philo instead of Raphtalia. He advises Philo to use her brain, pour her mana into the fight, and increase her defense. Philo uses her magic on Vittoria, but Vittoria rejects the power and attacks Philo heavily. Naofumi tries to use his power to free Melty, but Vittoria uses magic on him too. She cuts through his shield defense easily. Later, Philo stands up even though she is weak. Vittoria asks her why she is fighting, noting that Philo could not defeat her or the dragon from the previous night. Vittoria tells Philo she cannot fight for the shield hero with a weak will. As Philo tries to become stronger, Vittoria starts absorbing mana from the air. Naofumi tells Philo to watch the attack and believe in herself, so Philo uses special magic and strikes at Vittoria's eyes, eventually breaking through her magic. Philo soon falls down and begs the queen to release Melty, but Vittoria tells Philo she has won and releases Melty. Vittoria explains that this was a test. If Philo had failed, she and the shield hero would have died. Vittoria places a crown on Philo's head and appoints her as her successor. The other Philolials celebrate. The crown disappears and a strand of hair stands up on Philo's head as a symbol that she is the next queen. When Philo pulls the hair out, it grows back automatically. Apparently, this power will increase Philo's skills and help the shield hero. Vittoria gives Naofumi something to heal his wounds and uses a strand of her own hair to unlock the Philolial series in his shield. Melty realizes Vittoria was just testing Philo, and Vittoria tells Melty to think about her own desires. Later, Vittoria gives Melty a ride on her big feathers, and Philo wishes she could be as big as Vittoria. In the afternoon, everyone eats together. Vittoria tells Naofumi's party to rest before they leave and throws a party to celebrate the new queen. The other Philolials carry Raphtalia, Philo, and Melty during the celebration. After the party, the others sleep on the Philolials while Naofumi stays awake to talk to Vittoria. She again tells him to reconcile with the other heroes. Naofumi remembers what happened at the palace and doubts the other heroes will believe he is innocent. Vittoria tells him he cannot fight alone and that a time will come when the world demands a sacrifice. The heroes will have to choose between fighting for the world or fighting for its people. If they choose the world, many lives will be lost, but they will fulfill their duty. If they choose the people, the path will be very difficult. Naofumi asks for more details. She explains that saving the world is different from saving its people and past heroes wish to save the people. She tells him he cannot solve these problems alone and asks again how he plans to reconcile with the others. Vittoria tells Naofumi she thinks highly of him for raising the next queen and acting like a good person. She says the other heroes are very weak. Even if she doesn't kill them, they might die later on. Naofumi asks if the next wave will be tougher and says he will use the rage shield more than before. Suddenly, Vittoria touches him and gives him a power that slows down the curse of the shield. Because of her words, Naofumi decides to use all his strength and not lose hope. Shortly after, Vittoria lays her head on his lap, so Naofumi asks if it was a shield hero hero who raised her, but she ignores the question and says she often forgets things. Sometime later, at the Church of the Three Heroes, a group of people are talking and saying that the time has finally come. Meanwhile, Vittoria carries Naofumi's party back. Raphtalia and the others thank her for bringing them so far. Vittoria even gives them a new wagon that Philo loves very much since she's obsessed with wagons. Naofumi asks Vittoria if there is another hero nearby, so she says she can sense one, and she tells Naofumi to keep his promises and take care of Philo. Then they go their separate ways. On the way back, Philo enjoys riding in the new wagon. They reach a checkpoint where there are security guards. Raphtalia suggests that if they can get over the wall, they can cross the border. She checks the map and sees that a detour would take a few days. Melty remembers Vittoria saying another hero was nearby and suggests taking the detour. She asks Naofumi what he thinks. Naofumi is lost in thought, thinking about Vittoria's advice to reconcile with the other heroes. He realizes that to make peace, he might have to admit to crimes he didn't commit. Finally, he tells them they will go through the checkpoint because either Itsuki or Ren will likely be there. Melty worries they will be rejected, and Naofumi says they will just have to deal with it. He tells them to get ready for the worst. As they get closer to the border, a guard sees them and gathers other guards at the gate. The spear hero, Motoyasu, is also there. Philo is getting scared, but Naofumi encourages her to keep going because they cannot turn back now. When they reach the gate, Motoyasu moves toward them. Naofumi says they come in peace and asks to be allowed through. Suddenly, Motoyasu attacks, but Naofumi blocks it with his shield. Remembering Vittoria's words, Naofumi asks Motoyasu to listen to him. Motoyasu refuses to listen and calls Naofumi a brainwashed demon. Naofumi asks why he is acting so badly, so Motoyasu says that Naofumi abandoned the team and must pay for it. He then claims that Naofumi will pay for killing Itsuki and Ren. Naofumi explains that he didn't kill anyone and that there are no bodies to prove it. He remembers Vittoria mentioning that heroes were missing during the wave. Mine joins the conversation and says Motoyasu is right. She claims the Shield Devil released a sealed monster in the town and killed Itsuki and Ren. Mine encourages Motoyasu's anger and tells him not to let Naofumi brainwash him. She uses magic to trap them in a lightning cage. Motoyasu believes her without ever seeing the dead bodies. Naofumi uses Shield Prison on Motoyasu, but Motoyasu is at a higher level and breaks it immediately. Since Mine and Motoyasu do not want peace, Naofumi orders Philo to fight. Mine uses magic, but Melty reflects it back. Philo uses the magic she learned from Vittoria, which surprises everyone. Motoyasu tries to hurt Philo, but Naofumi protects her. Because of that, Motoyasu and Mine combine their magic into a sword attack, but Naofumi's shield blocks it. Suddenly, Raphtalia combines her magic with Naofumi's shield to hit Motoyasu, though it drains Naofumi's energy. Motoyasu moves in to attack without skills, but Philo kicks him and knocks him away like used toilet paper. Meanwhile, Raphtalia attacks Mine while she is distracted. Philo and Melty also combine their magic into a storm that blows their enemies away, allowing the party to cross the border successfully. Even though Naofumi explains he has been traveling to gain skills, Motoyasu refuses to believe him. Naofumi begs him one more time to listen, but Motoyasu insists on getting revenge for Ren and Itsuki. Mine demands Naofumi's death, and Naofumi suddenly notices Philo is gone because she has sensed something dangerous nearby. She grabs Mine and Motoyasu and drags them close, warning Naofumi to use the curse shield because something big is coming from the sky. Naofumi obeys and stacks multiple shields around everyone. A powerful fire spell rains down, and Naofumi activates a new power that protects his party, Motoyasu and Mine, inside a barrier. When the attack ends, the ground is covered in fire and Mine realizes they have been tricked. A man appears from above who says he is the Pope of the capital's cathedral. He accuses Naofumi of being a sinner and says Naofumi was ungrateful and deceived the people. He says he will purify Naofumi in the name of the Lord. Annoyed, Mine asks if the Pope realizes he almost killed the spear hero and the future queen, but the Pope coldly says that they are already walking corpses and it doesn't matter if they die. Motoyasu is confused, so the Pope reveals that a plan is already moving to overthrow the royal family. He says the current heroes in the royal family mean nothing to him because he only worships the heroes of the past. He accuses the sword hero of starting a plague, the spear hero of releasing monsters, and the bow hero of hiding from his work. He calls them frauds, and when Naofumi says he only tried to help people, the Pope mocks him. Finally, the Pope tells Motoyasu that Ren and Itsuki's disappearance was divine judgment, not Naofumi's fault, so Motoyasu starts to realize the truth. The Pope draws his sword and declares judgment on both the shield hero and the spear hero, so Melty warns everyone to be ready. The Pope and his disciples gather together to cast the false spear hero and the devil of the shield away from the country for the purification of holy judgment. They declare a righteous order and hold a sword to cast the devil out from the shield hero. Naofumi uses his shield weapon to block it, but the magic is stronger than what he can handle. The Pope tries another strong power on him, planning to cast the devil away, while Mine, the spear hero, and Naofumi's party are also in the same place. The Pope tells him that what he just saw was just a trial shot, and he will soon see the real power as he turns the sword sword into a spear. Seeing this, Melty explains that if she is not mistaken, the Pope's weapon is a replica of the cardinal weapons. In the past, an attempt was made to duplicate the 4 legendary weapons to make an ultimate weapon that could change into any form. She heard that these legendary weapon replicas were lost many centuries ago. Motoyasu asks Mine to confirm what Melty said, but she doesn't know anything about it. Melty continues, saying the story was so rampant that anyone dabbling in Melra Mark's church history would know it, but to everyone's surprise, the Church of the Three Heroes kept it hidden and made false rumors that it was lost. Naofumi finds it weird that they would even summon heroes if they already had such a weapon. Melty explains that the weapon the Pope holds is mighty but consumes massive amounts of mana. The Pope tells him it's no wonder Melty is first in line for the throne because she has educated herself well, unlike her sister who is always too busy conspiring to study. He explains that the mana will be provided by all the believers with him. He tells his brethren that the battle he is about to draw is a holy crusade between the Lord and the Devil Shield hero. He tells them to offer their prayers to the legendary weapon, joining their mana with his to purge the world. As the believers gather their mana into the sword, Naofumi orders Melty to put the believers to sleep to take them out of the equation. Melty tells him she has not learned magic that can affect the mind, and their large mana pool gives them high resistance, making it impossible to put them to sleep. Suddenly, the brainless Motoyasu tells him he will take action to defeat the Pope and avenge Itsuki and Ren. He realizes the Pope used selfish goals to manipulate them and now wants to get rid of them. As he talks, Raftalia and Philo tell each other that what Motoyasu is saying is hollow and annoying. He tries a lightning spear attack, but it doesn't touch the Pope because of a barrier powered by thousands of disciples. Melty tells Motoyasu he cannot harm the man unless they break through the force field, and Naofumi agrees that they need to cut off the mana supply first. Motoyasu realizes they need to work together, but Mine disagrees. She adds her power to Motoyasu's to form a combo skill, but their attacks are like a playground to the Pope. Later, Motoyasu tries more magic skills, but nothing gives the Pope a scratch. Immediately, the Pope attacks Naofumi and his people with fire. When he realizes this isn't a joke, Motoyasu laments that the Pope is cheating and should fight fair and square as if the Pope gives a crap. Meanwhile, Naofumi is fidgeting, knowing that if the Pope unleashes a full volley of attacks, they are all done for. He looks for a solution, but cannot find one because of the mana the disciples are supplying. As the Pope prepares to attack, 100 swords shoot at him from a distance, affecting him and his barrier. From afar, Ren and Itsuki appear in the nick of time to help, surprising Motoyasu, who had foolishly accused Naofumi of eliminating them. The Pope still tells the heroes to cry for the mercy of God, even though his disciples know he has been hit by Ren and Itsuki's magic. Motoyasu asks how they survived, so Ren tells him they were nearly eliminated, but the attempt failed. He and Itsuki had secretly investigated the Three Heroes Church because they didn't trust them. One of their party members found a secret file in the cathedral archives mentioning the replica cardinal weapon. The church lured them to a fake shrine to assassinate them, but they escaped with the help of the Queen's Shadow Squad. Now Fumi realizes the Queen's Squad has been keeping tabs on the other heroes too. Ren explains that the church took his rewards and framed Naofumi for things he didn't do. Naofumi gets angry, remembering how Motoyasu wanted to eliminate him earlier based on those lies. Afterward, Ren and Itsuki gather their strength to attack the Pope and break his barrier. They finally consume the sword's mana barrier. The disciples begin to fidget and worry, knowing the Queen's force will arrive soon. Itsuki confirms they saw the shadows on their way there, so Ren and Itsuki advise the Pope to surrender, but he refuses to listen. The Pope boldly says he is not afraid by the Queen's force and that victory will be his. He claims the heroes cannot harm him because of his legendary weapon and his faith. The heroes decide they need to act rather than use words. The three heroes unite to fight, but Naofumi refuses to join them, but instead orders Melty to support them with magic. Motoyasu, Ren, and Itsuki are unhappy that he won't join, so Naofumi asks why he should join when they keep disturbing his peace. Raftalia takes Naofumi's side, telling Motoyasu he has no right to talk, since he let the church throw its weight around and let Mine lead him by the nose. Mine screams that she didn't deceive him, but Motoyasu still doesn't understand her schemes and claims he was just trusting his party. Naofumi tells Motoyasu his behavior is brainless and that he acts blindly. He then corrects Ren for destroying a dragon whose rotting flesh poisoned a village, something that might work in a video game but had real consequences here. He tells Itsuki that his little adventures turned people into refugees living in abject poverty. He tells them they should have used their brains to solve matters amicably. While Naofumi corrects them, Melty uses a magic shield for herself, Philo, and Raftalia. Naofumi continues, saying the three heroes caused this mess, which is why the church thought they could get away with their actions. The three heroes feel down, and Philo says their behavior always pisses Naofumi off because he has to clear up their messes. Motoyasu tries to blame Ren and Itsuki, but they point out he was wrapped around a girl's finger. Naofumi reminds Motoyasu about the seedless vines he planted that caused trouble and sickness for villagers. He tells them they let the hero title go to their heads and failed to work together during the wave. After Naofumi finishes speaking, the Pope tells them the so-called heroes are an utter disgrace and need to be cleansed. All their talking gave him enough time to generate more mana. He gathers his magic to destroy them, but Naofumi protects everyone with his shield. Naofumi tells the Pope that despite his talk of justice, he only has selfish ambitions. Meanwhile, Vittoria watches from a distance, remembering the advice she gave Naofumi to work with the other heroes. Naofumi remembers his promise to her and tells the other 3 heroes he will work with them until the Pope is out of the way. Everyone, including Philo and Raphtalia, becomes happy when they hear that. Immediately, the 4 heroes and their parties gather to take the Pope out. The Pope, determined to win, sends out heavy magic that confuses the group. He welcomes them to his cathedral using a heavy barrier and telling them they have reached their final destination and can't go back. In her kingdom, the queen prepares to travel out to face the present problems by herself, despite her servants trying to convince her not to. She soon heads out to tell her army that they're going to war against the Pope and the 3 heroes because they're traitors, and they begin marching. She hopes the shield hero and Melty can hang on till she gets there. Meanwhile, the Pope summons a group defense magic of the highest level called Cathedral, trapping the entire group with a barrier. Immediately, Ren releases a thunderbolt slash at the Pope, while Itsuki releases a thunderbolt, but the Pope easily deflects their attacks. In response, the Pope blasts Philo and Raphtalia with fire, but they jump out of the way and destroy one of the Pope's defenses, after Raphtalia clangs swords with the Pope, knocking him back. While that's happening, the followers of the church supply more mana to strengthen the Pope. Inside, Naofumi climbs on Philo and tells her to grab Motoyatsu as they go one more time. They fly into the air, while Melty protects the others from attacks with magic. Naofumi tells Motoyatsu to attack him when they get close to the Pope. Even though Motoyatsu doesn't understand, he does so, and this causes fire to pour off Naofumi's shield on the Pope. However, the Pope doesn't even flinch, showing them he's really bad. Naofumi is surprised he was able to do this, so the Pope tells him all curses don't work in the hollowed wall of his barrier because they've been blessed by God. The Pope knocks them back with a gust of wind, and he tells his believers to pray harder so they can show their enemy their true power. The bishop replies to the Pope that a third of them have given all their mana and they'll die if they don't stop now. However, the Pope tells them it's not a big deal because dying as a martyr is the greatest honor, and this disgusts Melty and the others. The believers soon start praying harder and start collapsing, but the psychopath Pope tells Naofumi and his group that he's going to wipe them out to bestow God's mercy on them. When Naofumi and the others realize the cathedral is getting ready to blast them, the other heroes ask Naofumi if he has any special skill that might help. As he gets ready to speak, he feels sudden pain and remembers Vittoria's advice about being careful with his shield curse because the consequences are dire. Regardless, he decides to gamble and hopes it'll work. Raphtalia becomes worried and asks if he'll use the rage shield, but he assures everyone it'll work out. He activates the rage shield and suddenly appears before the spirit of the zombie dragon, who tries to overtake him with fury. Naofumi refuses to let the dragon overtake him with its anger, but the zombie dragon tells him that this anger is actually coming from his own heart for being hated and publicly humiliated. Naofumi eventually gives in, and his body starts to transform with rage into a being covered with fire. Raphtalia becomes worried that he's become the devil of the shield, and she calls out to him while he's brimming with anger. Naofumi turns back full of anger to destroy whoever's calling him, but he sees visions of his friends. He hears Raphtalia telling him about how he cared for and protected her, and he hears Philo telling him how he gave her everything she loved in this world. He also hears Melty tell him how he protected her as a friend, and he suddenly comes back to his senses. When he opens his eyes, he finds the girls hugging him, so he thanks them despite the pain of the fire, and they tell him they're glad he's back. He apologizes because he didn't mean to hurt them, but Raphtalia tells him he did the right thing and they're in this today. The other heroes come to check on him, so Naofumi pleads with them to help him, which surprises them since he's never said please to them. Eventually, they team up, but the cathedral's power reaches its max, and the Pope blasts them with an attack to finish them off. Quickly, Naofumi protects everyone with his shield, and the Pope is surprised that he was able to withstand the attack. Naofumi tells the Pope that his power has cost him the lives of his disciples, whom he will avenge. The Pope is shocked, but Naofumi leads the others to start attacking him. Itsuki quickly blasts the Pope with thunder shots, but he blocks them with barriers. While that's going on, Melty and the other magicians break down some other barriers, and Naofumi tells them not to give the Pope time to recover. Philo and Raphtalia move in to attack at close range, but the Pope blocks Raphtalia's attack with his spear. Raphtalia tells him they're on here to distract him, and when the Pope turns back, Ren appears and slashes him. Next up, Mind strengthens Motoyatsu, who's angry that he's taking orders from Naofumi. Motoyatsu blasts the Pope with more attacks that break through his barrier and stab him in the chest. With that opening, Naofumi runs forward to finish him off, but the Pope releases a sacred flame phoenix to cleanse them all. Philo easily jumps out of the way, and Naofumi and Philo use their crest to consume the flame phoenix, redirecting it at the Pope. The fire overwhelms the Pope, but he suddenly rises up. As the others rush rush in, Naofumi tells them to hang on because something is wrong, but Motoyasu attacks the Pope regardless. The Pope blocks his attack and redirects it at them, knocking down Motoyasu. When Ren also goes into attack, the Pope blocks it and knocks him several feet away. Motoyasu is shocked that the Pope's weapon can imitate their powers, so the Pope transforms his weapon into a bow and says he needs to do more than cleanse them. The Pope fires an arrow into the eye of the cathedral, causing him to be replicated in the glasses and be able to fire several arrows at once. They're unable to protect themselves from all the arrows, and 2 of them are soon hit by the arrows. Naofumi rushes to protect Raphtalia, but as the Pope is about to finish them off, the Queen appears and releases an ice prison to trap her target. The ice soon traps the Pope, who's surprised that the Queen's magic could enter the cathedral. When Naofumi spots the opening, he activates the skill called Blood Sacrifice, causing blood to pour out of his body, shocking the others. The Pope quickly breaks the ice and says, "Naofumi's end is fitting for a devil." As the Pope prepares to attack Naofumi, the ground breaks up and a beast comes out of the blood sacrifice and swallows the Pope. The Pope asks why this is happening to him since he's an apostle of God himself, but his weapon soon snaps in pieces and the beast crushes him like paper. When the beast goes back into the ground, the cathedral disappears, and the bishop becomes scared because this means that the Pope is dead. The Queen tells the believers to accept their defeat. Meanwhile, Naofumi collapses in a pool of blood, which makes the other ladies start to cry because they believe Naofumi gave up his life for them. However, the Queen tells them he won't die, and she comes close to telling Naofumi she's the sovereign leader of Melromark. Sometime later, Naofumi and his group enter a foggy area that surprises him. He soon wakes up and realizes it was all a dream. He finds himself bandaged on a bed with the ladies resting by his bed. When he wakes up, they're all relieved he's okay, but he wonders what happened. Later, he learns he's at the royal family's private clinic where he's been asleep for 3 days. Apparently, the Queen did everything in her power to save his life. Even though his wounds have been healing by the Queen's healing magic, he'd still have to stay for about a month because of the power of the rat shield. Soon after, the Queen enters and reintroduces herself to Naofumi and praises him as one of the 4 cardinal heroes. Naofumi scoffs at that because the country doesn't appreciate his shield and has blamed him for everything, so the Queen tells him she owes him an explanation. She later explains that she was far away from Melromark at an international forum with other world leaders to determine how best to fight with the upcoming waves. At the forum, it was decided that the 4 great nations would summon 4 heroes, but the temporary leaders of Melromark had already summoned the cardinals without permission before she returned, making the other nations furious. Eventually, Naofumi asks her why the shield hero had to be the only one to go through all that persecution, so the Queen explains that King Altcray already had his own reasons for despising the previous shield hero, so the 3 Heroes Church took advantage of that. However, the Queen promises to clear his name and end his suffering. She also offers to honor him with Melromark's Great Award, along with a bonus of 500 gold pieces. While the ladies rejoice, Naofumi remains silent. The Queen soon requests to speak with Naofumi alone, and when they're alone, she asks him if it's not enough. He says he knows there must be a catch, so she confesses that Melromark has no hope of surviving their uncertain future at this point. However, Naofumi tells her she can't convince him to stay in this country because he plans to go wherever the waves are. He says within himself that fighting the waves is the best chance he has to get a ticket back home. Eventually, the Queen asks him if he'd like to visit the castle to clear his name before the public before he leaves. She also tells him a secret about Mine and the king, which surprises him. She even bows and pleads with him to come to the castle. Later that evening, Naofumi tells Raphtalia about the Queen's request when she asks, which makes her cry because of relief. That night, Naofumi's mind flashes to a vision of the king and Mine being executed, and he tells them they deserve to die for what they did to him. He soon wakes up from the nightmare and tries to convince himself that he doesn't need to care what happens to the king and Mine since they're scumbags. The next morning, some night guy protests because only the shield hero and his team were allowed into the castle, and he makes a fuss. Inside, Naofumi and his servants meet the 3 other heroes. When Motoyatsu asks Naofumi if he's seen Mina, Naofumi keeps quiet, and the others guess Mina might be putting together a surprise party for them. Shortly after, they're all summoned in front of the Queen and Melty, who welcomes them. Shortly after, the Queen orders the guards to bring in the king and Mine in chains. When the 3 heroes ask what's going on, the Queen explains that they're criminals and they'll undergo a trial immediately. Mine begs her mother for being so cruel, and when the king tries to demand justice, the guards shut him up. When he asks the Queen if the devil of the shield has brainwashed her, she freezes him on the spot. She announces that they will be given a temporary trial to ensure a fair trial. They'll be given a slave crest. This shocks everyone, and Motoyatsu demands to know how she could do that since Mine is her own daughter, but the Queen announces that her daughter is a pathological liar. The slave crest is soon put on Mine, and the trail is started. The Queen warns them to not try to find their way out of this because their crimes are clear, but Motoyasu demands to know what crime they have committed. Immediately, the Queen explains that first, the Pope of the 3 Heroes Church used a fabricated holy weapon and tried to murder the cardinal heroes and frame the shield hero. Apparently, the Queen and the first princess were colluding with the Pope. This shocks Motoyasu, and when Mine tries to deny it, the slave crest electrocutes her. After that, the queen asks Mine about her plan to assassinate Melty and then frame the shield hero for her mother, and as she's about to deny it again, the slave crest electrocutes her. The king asks her if she truly did this, and as she tries to deny it, she's electrocuted again. The queen announces that she tried to use the church to take out Melty and set fire to the forest Melty escaped into. Ren admits that this is true because he recalls that it looked like Mine was trying to kill Melty, and Itsuki agrees. As the king asks Mine why she would do this, the queen accuses him of working with the church to summon the heroes while she was away. However, the king refuses that he did that to save Melremark, but the shield hero was the one who assaulted Mine on the first night he came. Eventually, the queen asks Mine if she was truly assaulted by the shield hero, and as she says she was, the crest knocks her to the ground with a wave of electricity again. Motoyatsu can't believe this, so the queen tells him to form a slave pact with Mine himself. He decides to do this to prove her innocence, so when he asks her about her assault himself, the slave crest electrocutes her again. Meanwhile, Naofumi realizes he doesn't feel better even though his name is cleared, and he wonders if he's looking forward to what comes next. Eventually, the king confesses that he was trying to eliminate the shield devil for the sake of his country because it would bring the calamity of the past all over again. However, the queen strips them both of their status and sentences both of them to death, shocking the people because of how excessive it seems. So, the queen explains that the king and Mine wasted time with a power struggle and did nothing to help their subjects, causing a loss of lives of many. Soon after, Mine and the king are brought forward to be beheaded, and the queen forces herself to make the announcement because they're her family. Meanwhile, Naofumi watches in shock, and as they're about to be beheaded, Mine turns to beg Naofumi, so he stops everyone. Naofumi announces that the death penalty is too good for this vermin, but they shouldn't let them off as easily as this. For some reason, the queen is relieved, and Naofumi proposes they start calling the king trash and Mine, the B-word and whore, for the rest of their lives. When the queen sees that Naofumi is serving them mercy, she agrees with the punishment, and announces that the Church of the Three Heroes will now be the Church of the Four Heroes. Later, the queen offers to throw a party for Naofumi before he leaves, but he tells her he doesn't need that, but he'll work with them and the rest of the nations. Surprised, the queen offers to give him anything else he wants, to make it fair to him. After that, the queen privately collapses, and when Melty goes to help her, the queen says she wanted to offer up her own life as a sacrifice to beg for the others if Naofumi hadn't stepped in. While Naofumi and the others are leaving, the people and the knights gather to honor them. Before Naofumi can leave, Melty runs after him and thanks him for saving her, her sister, and her father. Sometime later, Philo pulls the others to a different city, and when they get down, they notice the crest of the country now has the 4 heroes instead of the 3 heroes. They're glad things will be different, and they'll now be able to upgrade classes. When they get in, they're met by some people who take them to the Dragon Hourglass to begin the class upgrade ritual. When Philo and Raftalia place their hands on the hourglass, Naofumi sees the option to upgrade their class. Sometime later, the group returns to Melremark to see the queen looking tired. The queen asks if there was a problem, so Naofumi says they were able to upgrade. In a flashback, he notices the girls were able to level up really well, but the girls soon complain they only got one option and couldn't pick the upgrade that they wanted. In the present, the queen explains that she's heard that certain items can affect the class upgrade process, and that may have been what happened. Naofumi wonders if it's the item that Vittoria gave Philo that's the problem, and the queen is surprised when they mention the Philolial queen. Melty tries to describe Vittoria's beauty, so the queen asks Melty to tell her more. When Melty paints a beautiful scene, the queen confesses that she's jealous because she would like to ride the Philolial queen, so Naofumi realizes cringiness runs in their blood. He soon asks the queen why she called them back so soon, so she tells him that she wants to throw a party and wants all 4 heroes to be here because she wants to tell them something all of them would benefit from. Later, Naofumi apologizes to the ladies because they couldn't get the class upgrades they wanted. Raftalia says it's okay, but he says it's not because he won't always be around to help them, so he wants them to be strong, and that gets the girls worried. That evening, while the ladies gather to eat, Nothi notices Mine sneaking around, which annoys her. Meanwhile, the queen meets with the 4 heroes. At the party, Raftalia thinks about the fact that Naofumi is going to leave. Soon after, a knight named Mauld comes to insult Raftalia for not knowing her place as a demi, and he publicly insults the shield hero. Annoyed, Raftalia stands up to him and asks him if he really has the cojones to back up his big mouth. While that's going on, Mine uses the opportunity to pour some poison into a pie, and Melty catches her. Inside the private room, the queen notes that the heroes don't seem comfortable to be here. Suddenly, Naofumi flashes back to when Vittoria asked him if he really tried to make up with the other heroes or to clear his name. Immediately, he asks the heroes what they need to discuss, so the queen apologizes for the trouble the 3 heroes' church caused. She also announces that a place called the Calmira Archipelago is starting to activate. This surprises the heroes because that means it'll generate a bonus field, which happens once a decade. Apparently, while it's activated, all the experience points gained on the area are given a great boost. Suddenly, they hear a knock in the door, and Melty comes in to notify the queen of something that makes her worried. The queen soon announces that Mine was caught trying to poison food coming to Naofumi's table, but Moriatsu stands up to refute the news. Melty tells him that Mine admitted to it because of her slave pact, so the queen queen tells Motoyatsu to confirm it as well, since he has a slave pact with her. Eventually, the queen tells them all that she believes the reason the heroes haven't leveled up fast enough is because of the animosity between them. She advises them to share the things they know among each other to make their trip to Kalmyra profitable. However, the three heroes say there's no need, since they already know the things they need to know and they'd be wasting time. Naofumi, on the other hand, is annoyed that these guys haven't learned anything. When the queen realizes that the three heroes still have their heads in the cloud, she bluntly tells them that if nothing changes drastically, Naofumi may survive the next wave, but the rest of them will not. They ask what she means, so she explains that the three of them were defeated during the last wave, which makes it unlikely they'll survive the next, and they can only win if they rally together. Naofumi agrees with the queen, but he wonders if he can really rally with these other eggheads. Eventually, the heroes concede and ask Naofumi to start by telling them how he got his cheat shield. Meanwhile, several people throw around tables in the party while Philo keeps eating. Some people hold back Raftalia and Mauld from fighting, but it doesn't seem to work. Inside the room the heroes are in, Naofumi tells the others his shield isn't from a cheat, but it's a result of hard work. When they look at him cynically, he offers to tell them everything he knows, as long as they tell him theirs first. Eventually, they decided to do so. Motoyatsu goes first and tells Motoyatsu a way to copy legendary weapons for free by copying them. When Naofumi learns that he's surprised because he's been doing it by hand, they also inform him of a teleport skill that allows him to teleport back to any location he's been before, and Naofumi can't believe his ears. Finally, the three heroes start to argue about the secret to getting stronger regarding weapons. Meanwhile, Mauld and Raftalia engage in a sword fight. Raftalia dodges all of Mauld's attacks and soon holds her blade to his neck. Inside the room, the three heroes get into a full-blown argument that starts to tire Naofumi, so he tells them to shut up and leaves. That evening, Raftalia apologizes to Naofumi because she couldn't stand listening to Mauld insult him. He tells her it's okay and learns that Philo is sleeping in Melty's room. Later, he checks his system and doesn't find a weapon copy system, and he wonders why, because the other heroes didn't seem to be lying. When he attempts it, he unlocks the skill and is surprised it's real. The next morning, he learns from the queen that the other heroes left early this morning. He had hoped to tell them what he found, but decides to do it later. Shortly after, Naofumi goes to the blacksmith shop and copies one of his shields. He's surprised it worked, but the blacksmith becomes angry at the forgery. He tries to stop Naofumi, but the other ladies soon rush to get other rare shields to help Naofumi clone them, so he gives up. After they're done, Naofumi promises to pay the blacksmith back, and the blacksmith tells him to do good work in Kalmyra. Later, while they're traveling, Raftalia asks Naofumi if they can take a slight detour. She soon visits her destroyed village and goes to pay homage to her dead best friend and parents. Soon after, another villager named Keel tells Raftalia they need to return the village to how it used to be, and she agrees. Meanwhile, Naofumi looks around the destroyed village and he wonders if there's something he can do to help. Suddenly, he's approached by a stranger named Lark who shares his concerns about the village, but soon leaves with another woman. Soon after, as they're about to leave, Raftalia asks Naofumi if he'll leave her, and she tells him she can't imagine living in a world without him by her side. Surprised, Philo asks him if he's going somewhere, so he promises them he's not going anywhere. That gladdens them, but Naofumi says within himself that he can't leave until these two find happiness. Shortly after, they go to the ship the queen prepared for them. Inside the ship, Naofumi and the others meet Lark once more, along with his companion Therese. Oddly, Raftalia asks if Therese is from a foreign country because she couldn't understand what she said, even though Naofumi could. Lark realized they've forgotten, so Therese used a magic crest that allows her speak in words Raftalia can't understand. Naofumi also recalls that his shield translates for him so the ladies can understand him. When Naofumi introduces himself to Lark, they start laughing because they think he's using the shield hero's name as an alias, and that annoys Naofumi. Eventually, he tells them he's the shield hero, which makes Lark laugh. Lark explains that the shield hero has an evil reputation for scams, blackmail, and kidnapping, along with powerful friends that will execute whoever he doesn't like. Lark jokes that Naofumi isn't anything like the creepy shield hero, but eventually refers to Naofumi as the shield kiddo to make him happy. Lark asks Naofumi if they'd like to team up at Kalmyra since it'll be efficient. Shortly after, one of the crew members asks Naofumi and the other heroes to speak to the crew and motivate them. Naofumi takes this as a chance to inform them that believing in other people's systems will allow them to unlock their skills. When Naofumi finds the other, he finds out that they're seasick, and when he tries to tell them about what he found out, they're unable to listen because of their sickness. Suddenly, Philo kicks some huge fish into the ship so they can have them for dinner, shocking the others. Shortly after, Therese comes out to ask Naofumi to help her craft a piece of jewelry. Because Raftalia Raftalia had told her he's good at crafting. She gives him the materials and offers to pay him, so he agrees. Sometime later, they reach the port of Calmira, and they're soon welcomed by someone named Hobenberg, the caretaker of the archipelago. Apparently, the Calmira archipelago is a group of small islands bunched together, making it a popular tourist center. The activation also brought a lot of adventurers here at once, and some of the rules they were given is that they can only travel between islands by boat, and they have to try to kill as many monsters as possible without interfering in other people's battles. They soon find an epigraph left by a previous cardinal hero, which surprises them. Soon after, they're approached by Lark, who reminds him about their offer to team up, so Naofumi tells them they'll give it a shot, but he'll drop them in a heartbeat if they slow them down, which Lark jokingly agrees with. Later that day, Naofumi suggests to the ladies that they go grind some levels, so they quickly go monster hunting. While fighting, they take out some slimes and get a ridiculous amount of experience points. After that, they take down some other monsters, but Raftalia becomes slightly bored because they're so weak. Oddly, Naofumi notices they've stopped gaining experience points. Shortly after, the other heroes show up and get into an argument about territory for farming points. When they start arguing, Naofumi leaves them and goes to another island. On this island, a huge monster attacks Naofumi, but he blocks it, allowing Philo to knock him down with a kick. With the monster down, they get over 3k experience points, which surprises Naofumi. Suddenly, Raftalia tells Naofumi she doesn't know how much longer her sword will last, and she says it seems their power levels have outgrown their weapon's durability. Because of that, Naofumi says they'll get new weapons for them before the next wave hits. Naofumi goes to check the monster to see if they got any good drops, and they're all given some great weapons that Philo and Raftalia can use. When it gets dark, they gather some of the things they've got, and Naofumi says he figured they'd get better drops at night, even though the enemies are slightly stronger. Raftalia says they're used to fighting in the dark, but she says she's worried about how tired Naofumi looks, so he confesses that his body is still feeling a bit tired from the curse since he used blood sacrifice. However, he assures her he won't push himself. Suddenly, they're approached by Lark, who is glad they found him. Raftalia asks them what they came here to do, so Therese says Lark was worried because they weren't back. It surprises Naofumi that they came here since it's normal for adventurers to die on a quest, but Lark insists he wouldn't be able to sleep well if they turned up dead. When Raftalia admits that it's getting late, Naofumi has no choice but to concede, and Lark asks Naofumi to grab a drink with them, which he has no choice but to agree to. They soon have some fun at the bar, but Naofumi's surprised at Lark's drinking ability the entire time. Suddenly, Maud mistakenly collides with Raftalia while she's drinking, and they both have an arm wrestle where she wins him like a maniac. Meanwhile, Naofumi finds a red fruit and starts to eat it, but Lark and some others warn him to stop. Moriatsu soon approaches and also swallows the fruit, but immediately collapses. Later, Lark informs Naofumi that the fruit are very alcoholic and usually have to be diluted to make wine. The next day, Naofumi hands Therese the accessory she asked for, and she thanks him for it. Everyone becomes worried when they notice her crying, so Therese confesses that Naofumi is a master craftsman. Naofumi tries to not talk about the money, but Therese immediately hands him a huge bag of money and apologizes if it's not enough, which surprises Naofumi. Later, they head out to grind some levels, and Lark tells Naofumi that his party is pretty high level. He informs Naofumi that Therese has reached level 52, and he's reached level 56, which makes Naofumi believe that they must be more than everyday adventurers. When they reach the island, Naofumi suggests discussing their strategy, but they're soon ambushed by some monstrous birds. Lark immediately blasts one of the monsters away, and Naofumi comes to shield him from another attack. While Naofumi summons the ladies, Lark leaps forward to slice up the monsters, surprising Naofumi. Meanwhile, Therese uses the power of jewels from the jewel Naofumi just crafted for her to release a strong fire that burns her target in an instant, surprising the others. Shortly after, the ladies join in, and they all whoop the monsters behind. After they take some down, Naofumi notices the new gain of XP slowed down when they hit level 70, so Lark suggests they attack the big monsters. They soon find a huge bird monster along with smaller ones protecting it, so Naofumi offers to draw away the smaller birds so Therese can attack them, while the others attack the big boss. Naofumi soon uses a taunt skill to attract the smaller monsters to focus on him, and Therese uses her ruby blaze to burn all the monsters around Naofumi. The fire engulfs Naofumi, and the ladies get worried, but Naofumi soon realizes that the flame isn't damaging him. With the big monster left, Lark and the others attack it and take it down. After they get some drop items, Philo quickly goes to check on Naofumi. However, he tells her that Therese's magic is strange because even his cloth isn't burnt. Shortly after, they decide to divide the drops and they spot a weird item that they don't recognize. Later, they return to Calmira City and they have so much fun that Naofumi asks if they'd like to team up again tomorrow. However, Lark says they'll like to go at it alone the next day. Although it stings to be rejected, Naofumi considers inviting them to join his party after they're done, and and he tells the ladies they can take the next day off. The next day, Philo tells Naofumi she found a special island underwater, so they decide to check it out with some magic underwater suits. When they find the place, Naofumi finds a door that opens rather easily than he expected, and he finds out there's air inside the building. When they get onto dry ground, Raphtalia creates a light, and they're shocked to find a dragon hourglass. This worries Naofumi because any place where there's an hourglass can be attacked by a wave, which is bad because the islanders will be in grave danger. However, Naofumi checks the hourglass and finds out the next wave is coming in just 2 days. Immediately after, Naofumi uses his teleport skill to return to the capital to report to the queen, who immediately gathers an army to prepare for the battle. It's clear that this wave would most likely happen at sea, so they board their ships and wait to be teleported to the wave. Naofumi is impressed by how quickly the queen prepared an army and these ships, which is much better than King Altcray. Melty says it's not a big deal since it's the royal family's responsibility to prepare for waves, but Naofumi asks her what she's doing here. That offends her, so she says she's here because she's a part of their party. So Philo tells Melty she's always glad to have her around. The queen also informs them that the Earl of Hobenberg acted quickly and is evacuating the people, so she tells them to focus on the battle. However, Naofumi reminds the queen about the heroes' inability to work together, especially since things are about to get ugly. Suddenly, Naofumi spots Lark and Therese in another ship, and he's surprised they're fighting the waves too, but he becomes worried when Lark looks away when their eyes meet. Shortly after, the sand in the hourglass runs out and they're all teleported into the wave, so the queen tells everyone to prepare for battle. Immediately, some fish-like beasts come out of portals to attack them, but the men unload some explosive barrels into the sea to deal damage to the monsters. Some of the monsters are knocked around by the bomb, so the adventurers fire arrows at them. Suddenly, a huge kraken-like monster approaches them, and Itsuki fires an arrow at it, but the monster dives back into sea and knocks a nearby ship from under. Immediately, Naofumi gets on Philo's back and gets underwater to deal with the monster just as the queen had told him. When he spots the monster, he uses his taunt skill to draw the monster's attention, so the monster chases them out of the sea. Immediately, the queen orders the heroes to attack, so Motoyatsu, Ren, and Itsuki attack the monster at once while it's exposed. However, their attack doesn't deal much damage and the monster blasts a nearby ship with a cannon blast on its head. After that, Raphtalia shoots a spear with a cannon into the beast, and she's able to deal a lot more damage to the monster. Meanwhile, the other soldiers focus on the little monsters while the heroes fight the big one. However, the monster blasts them to distract them, so the little monsters start to climb into their ship. When the monsters get in, they start to run, so Melty releases a flood of water and knocks back the monsters into the sea. Suddenly, one of the monsters grabs Melty and tries to drag her underwater, but the soldiers try to pull her back. Soon after, they lose a grip of her, but Lark slices up the monster and returns Melty to the ship. Another wave of small monsters come into the ship, but Lark slices them all up at once, surprising the others and giving them morale to fight. Melty tells Lark he's quite powerful, and Naofumi was right about him, but Melty notices Lark frown upon hearing that. Immediately, Naofumi tells Lark it's time to attack the big monster, so he hesitantly obliges and tells Naofumi to get the monster out in the open so he can hit it. Philo immediately jumps into the water to taunt the monster, giving Lark an opening to attack the monster with a massive hit. With the monster dazed, Philo also cuts the monster with fangs and then kicks it in the chin to daze it. After that, Therese creates a thunderstorm with her gem, allowing Lark to fire a thunderstorm attack too, which finally takes down the monster. Meanwhile, the queen is amazed by the remarkable display of strength. With the monster down, Naofumi thanks Lark for assisting, and the other heroes soon show up to collect some of the drops the wave monster left. Naofumi tells them they didn't do a thing, and Lark soon tells the 3 heroes that they're weaklings that can't protect anything. Immediately, Lark knocks the 3 heroes on their back using a gust of wind, but Naofumi stands his ground. Naofumi demands to know what Lark is talking about, so Lark admits he's really the shield hero and says he'll have to die for the sake of their world. Lark tells him they have nothing against him, but they don't have a choice. Naofumi tells him that this world will be powerless against the waves without them, so Lark tells him that's their plan. Therese forces Lark to give an explanation, so Lark explains that he and Therese are also heroes from another world, and their own world is also teetering on the brink of destruction. Apparently, the only way to save their own world is to fight this battle. Meanwhile, the queen decides to mark Lark and Therese as hostiles and orders her men to defend the heroes and bring the 2 down. On the monster's corpse, the 3 heroes try to attack Lark, but he easily deflects their attacks and takes them down. From the ship, the soldiers fire arrows, but Therese protects herself and Lark with a barrier. She also uses her power of jewels to cast a spell of meteor shower, raining down meteors on the ships to destroy them. The attack is so great that all Naofumi can do is protect himself and the ladies with the shield. However, Lark tells Therese not to destroy the ships, so she says she was only trying to stop them from interrupting, and she summons rain to stop the fires. Naofumi notices that she's helping the men and wonders what they're thinking, so Lark tells the other ladies they're only here for Naofumi and they should stay out of it. However, the ladies aren't buying, so they rush to attack Lark. Suddenly, Lark freezes them mid-air and uses a wind attack to block their view. view, he attacks Raphtalia through the wind, but Naofumi blocks it with his shield and almost swallows him with a face on the shield. Meanwhile, the queen orders the soldiers to rescue the men to the remaining ships, but Melty decides to join another adventurer, Rishia, in helping the heroes. On the other side, Lark closes in on Naofumi with another attack, and Naofumi gets hurt even though he blocked the attack. Raphtalia quickly goes to fight Lark, so Therese releases an attack on Naofumi. However, the attack retracts as it seems the jewel Naofumi made doesn't want to attack him. Meanwhile, Naofumi gives the lady some health potions, and he wonders if Lark's attack ignores defense. He immediately realizes what's going on, so Lark confesses that his skill deals more damage the higher the target's defense. Suddenly, Melty arrives and tells Naofumi to hurry up and beat these guys so they can finish the wave and go home. That makes Naofumi laugh, so he tells Lark his strategy is great, except if he figures out a way to dodge all his attacks. Amused, Lark runs to attack him, but Naofumi uses some snakes in his shield to bite Lark. When Therese tries to interfere, Melty nullifies her attack with her own. Next up, Raphtalia uses an illusion to distract Lark, giving Naofumi a chance to use his Dogbyte's shield. Immediately after, Melty and Philo create a typhoon to blow Lark away, and as Raphtalia moves in to finish him, Therese directs an attack at her, so Naofumi is forced to save her. Naofumi realizes that Therese can switch between offense and defense, which confirms that they're truly heroes. Suddenly, someone tells him to stop fooling around and blast them with an attack. It turns out to be Glass, who stands with Lark and Therese. Glass tells Naofumi it's good to see him and immediately starts raining attacks on him, which he blocks. However, she tells her team that from the look of Naofumi's shield, they've not seen his best yet, and she tells Naofumi he's become stronger because he's been able to do so much damage without using his trump card. In the ships, the queen is informed that the soldiers have all been accounted for. She realizes the wave isn't stopping, and it might be until the new adventurers are defeated. The queen has no choice but to leave their fate in the hands of the shield hero since there's little they can do. Meanwhile, Glass keeps attacking Naofumi vehemently, and Naofumi realizes that Glass must think the Raid Shield is his only defense against her. Suddenly, when she comes close, the Soul Eater shield almost swallows her, forcing her to move back. That surprises Naofumi, especially because the Soul Eater shield drains the enemy's XP, and he realizes he's never seen Glass hesitate like that. Immediately, Therese throws a bomb jewel at Naofumi and his team, and Naofumi quickly protects his team from the attack. Before they can recover, Therese summons a hailstorm and she forms a combo attack with Glass, shocking Naofumi. He quickly covers them in his prison shield and weathers the attack. When it ends, Glass is surprised they couldn't beat him with the combo skill, and she admits that he's gotten better. Naofumi is glad they leveled up, but he's still bothered by how Glass avoided the Soul Eater shield, so he tells his team to handle Lark and Therese while he fights Glass alone, so he doesn't have to use the Raid Shield. Immediately, Naofumi draws Glass away to a ship while the others deal with Lark and Therese. However, Glass is amused by this because she wants a one-on-one fight too, but she asks if Raphtalia and the others can handle Lark and Therese. Naofumi asks Glass if she's also a hero from another world like Lark and Therese, so she admits that she is a vessel wielder and attacks him. Meanwhile, Therese releases fire to attack her targets, but Melty destroys it with water. Large tries to use the diversion to attack, but Philo and Raphtalia don't give him any breathing space. On the nearby ship, Glass keeps attacking Naofumi, and he realizes she's quick, but she doesn't have the edge on him she used to, so he can take her. When she attacks him again, he uses the Dogbite shield to push her backward and quickly switches to the Soul Eater shield to suck in her XP, causing her to scream in pain. Naofumi confirms his hunch that Glass is weakened by the Soul Eater, so Lark realizes Glass is in trouble. When Glass jumps away, Naofumi tells her the shield drains the XP of others, but it seems to draw out her own life force. He tells her to retreat so the wave can end since the fight is over, but she refuses to surrender and says the fight only ends when one of them is dead. When she attacks him again, he blocks it and activates his Soul Eater shield, causing her to writhe in pain again. Seeing her pain, he asks her to stop fighting so she doesn't die, but she refuses because of the sake of the world she loves. She tells him he can only get rid of her and protect this world by killing her, but Naofumi hesitates and wonders if he really wants to protect the world he was summoned to against his will. He wonders why he's fighting the waves and soon sees a vision of Glass's people fighting against their own waves awaiting their triumphant return. Naofumi wonders if he's really willing to destroy her hopes to protect this world, and Lark uses the opening to give Glass a soul-soothing potion that's highly effective for her. She immediately re-energizes and attacks him, knocking him a few feet backwards. When Raphtalia comes to help, Naofumi tells her to leave, but she refuses and says she won't let this world go through what she and her village went through. This motivates Naofumi, so he protects against Glass's attack and releases a green fire on Glass using another shield. The ship explodes, and the queen soon gets an idea to help the heroes win this fight. After the smoke clears, Lark tells Glass to escape from the fire, but she doesn't listen. When she activates her trump card, Naofumi uses his Raid Shield despite pleas not to, because he believes protecting his ladies is enough reason. As he's about to use the blood sacrifice skill, Rishia stops him and uses wind magic to throw the explosive barrels at him, so he blows them up and releases splashes the alcoholic substance within them on Glass. When Glass inhales the berries, she becomes weak, so Lark and Cerise come to retrieve her despite her protests. They soon return to their own world, and the wave clears up. Sometime later, they return to Calmira to rest. However, because of an offshore storm, they decided to postpone their return for a few days. During that time, Naofumi keeps thinking about how Lark and the others are trying to defend their world. He knows they have to prepare for the next wave, and he wonders if he'd be able to kill Lark and the others if it came to it. When Raftalia asks him what he's thinking, he tells her they need to start focusing on recruiting new members for their party for the next fight. Later, they find out that Rashia had tried to drown herself after Itsuki kicked her out of his party after accusing her of something she didn't do. Naofumi figures the rest of Itsuki's party must have blamed her because they were jealous of her performance in the last wave, and Itsuki must have trusted them blindly. When Rishia starts to cry again that she's weak, Naofumi motivates her to teach Itsuki and his team a lesson since she helped him so much in the last wave, so he offers her a spot in his party. Shortly after, the storm ends and they return to Melromark. The queen thanks Naofumi for his help during the last wave, and they talk about him talking to the other heroes to work together so they don't get killed in the next wave. She also reminds him of the reward she offered him before, and when he makes the request, the queen grants it. Shortly after, Naofumi heads back to the blacksmith to get equipments for his party. While they're chatting, Naofumi and the blacksmith talk about a secret place they're going, and Raftalia learns they're on their way to claim the queen's reward, but Naofumi refuses to tell her what it is. When they get close, Raftalia is shocked to find out they're back at her village. She wonders why, but Melty soon informs her that Naofumi has gained the right to govern the area of the demi-humans as a reward, and he's working on a way to rebuild it. Later, Naofumi shows Raftalia some boats so they can restart the village's fishing business. He also shows Raftalia their old friends who have moved to join them rebuild. Raftalia asks him why he chose this place, so he tells her they'll recruit more people and train them here. Suddenly, Raftalia starts crying and tells Naofumi that it feels like he's trying to prepare them for when he's leaving. She tells him he's not going to die because they'll beat Glass, and she starts to cry because she can't imagine a life where he lives their world even after the waves are gone. When she starts to sob, Naofumi apologizes, and he tells her he's now certain that he's going to start over here. He says meeting them all has made him want to become the shield hero and protect this world. Suddenly, they hug, but Philo soon butts in to get a hug too, and they continue the rebuilding process, and the people celebrate.